Well, good evening, HTC batch number 3. This is Desmond Soon coming into you here now as we await for the man of the hour and my right hand, the wingman, the man who actually made it all start, Kayvon, the one called Closer. Now, they both have not arrived on the scene, and what I like to do is get you ready to learn, ready to transform, and ready to absorb some of the secrets that this man, this gentleman, Dan Locke, that you've heard so much about, has shared with myself and a select few individuals out there over the past few years in secret masterminds, things that he has classified as confidential information. He's going to share that with you tonight. Now, before I get to that, I want to just take a look at the chat here. I'm looking at the chat. Where is everyone from? I can see that you can hear me. Great. Ryan Jackson, I see you there. Joe, great. Antonio, fantastic. Anthony, go ahead and type, if this is your first time on this call, type in your state or your country, your city name. Be proud of where you're calling in from. And just take a look at the chat and look at how many people are calling in from all over the world. Rainy, Oregon. Vikram, nothing too different from the Pacific Northwest up here in Vancouver as well. Yes. Singapore, yes. My fellow brothers from Singapore, right? I can switch to my Okela Singaporean accent, and then after that you guys are going to not understand what I'm saying, right? But then I'm going to switch back to my Canadian accent, and then I'm not going to sound like an Angmo or a typical Singaporean. We've got Henry Arnold, yes. South Carolina, Michigan. Ezra, don't hear sound either. Kevin, check your sound. Everyone seems to be able to hear me so far. If you need to log out, log back in. If you have any support questions, make sure you send in an email to support@highticketsales.com. Sign in on the web call, then hit mic test. Yes, that's correct. There are telephone numbers you can call in. You can also use your internet. Now, for those, if you are calling in on the phone, and I'll say this several times tonight, there are going to be times when have you interact. You're going to have to raise your hand. And the button to do that is the *2 button. I'll mention it a little bit later on. I did hear it chime there, but just before I introduce the person who just chimed in here, I want to start off with a story. And I want you guys to just imagine this right now, okay? Boom, 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 boom. Oi, Desmond-san. Timero omae. Oi, Desmond-san. I'm going to stop the story right there. Now, for many of you, if you've never lived in Japan, you may have never watched a manga, or you may have never followed any kind of Japanese pop culture. You may have no idea about what I just did there. For those of you in the know, you would probably be aware, if maybe you've watched a Quentin Tarantino or some sort of a movie by where he talks about the Japanese yakuza. Well, that is how some of the Japanese yakuza sound like when they are banging on someone's door, not just to collect money, but to collect that pound of flesh from you as well. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But I want to reach out to each and every one of you. You see, Kayvon and myself, we've had the pleasure of getting to know some of you along the way, and some of you we haven't had the chance to get to know yet. Many of you are on this call, and you have a very particular situation. You got to know this gentleman named Dan Locke, who's coming on in just a few minutes, and you heard about this thing called a high income skill. Now, I want you to suspend your any skepticism or what you think you know or what you think you don't know, and just be open-minded to receive what he's going to teach you. Because this gentleman made a difference in my life. He saved my life. Single parent, 2 kids, bankrupt, 37 years old at that time. A man who lost his confidence. Unsure of who I was, where I was, my place in the world, and he gave me purpose. And he did it through this high income skill. So for the single parents out there, I salute you. For those who served in any kind of military, I salute you. For those of you who are professionals and already successful, maybe you're just here to learn that one extra edge, that one thing that's going to make the difference and make you even better than your competitors. That one extra edge. So I want you just to pause for a second and ask yourself why you are here and post that in the comments. You don't have to share it if you don't want to, but if you do, all the better. Is unlike any kind of course or training that you think you've ever purchased or ever participated in. This is something that you will interact in live with a once-in-a-lifetime chance to learn from a multimillionaire. Now, before we bring him on, I want to give a really nice, warm introduction to a gentleman that I've seen grow tremendously in the last 1 year. He has a very unique story of his own. The media calls him the one call closer. I call him Kayvon. And Kayvon has changed not only his life and the people around him, but he continues to plow ahead. He's a pioneer in this space called closing. So I heard the chime there. Is the one call closer in the house?
The one call closer is in the house. Desmond, as usual, thank you so much for those kind words. I really appreciate it. I was listening a little bit, I got on, and I was listening about how you were telling them about your story, and I know we're going to dive into that. I do want to say hello to everyone. I do want to say that I know there are some of you that have been waiting since February for this live course. And I want you to know it is not going unnoticed. We see you, we hear you, and we feel you. And I promise you, as Desmond promised you, this course, this I don't even want to call it a course. I want to call it it's so much more than a course. This is an opportunity for you in the next 7 weeks. Again, Desmond addressed it. Whether you're just starting out, whether you have a business, or you're even thriving and you came here for those little nuggets. If you empty your cup in the next 7 weeks and listen to Dan, listen to Desmond, listen to the stories we have for you, listen to the skills that we're going to show you, I promise you, with your implementation, your life will change, because my life changed doing this exact same thing. Now, I did hear the chime. I never let him wait. I want to introduce you to someone who is special to all of us. This is a man that's changed Desmond's life, that changed my life personally, that we will talk about, and has changed thousands of people's lives across the world. Without further ado, the one, the only, Mr. Dan Locke.
Well, you made it. Out of the thousands and millions of people who follow me on social media, who study my work, you are one of the very, very few, probably 0.001% that made it to this class. So I want to congratulate you for being here. And for the HTC graduates, and you are taking this program the second or third time. I'm just looking at the chat here. So welcome back. Now, if you are, this is the second time or third time you're going through this, and I think you will get more out of it, just because the first time, remember, right, the first 7 weeks wasn't that intense. It may be a little overwhelming, but I think the second time, third time, you can enjoy it a little bit more and just relax and let and observe the information. And every single time I teach this, it's different because I teach it live. If this is the first time you learn from me, you see that I insist on teaching this program live, and I'll explain why in just a little bit later. So it's just like a good movie. The first time you watch it, it's great. Maybe a lot of special effects, a great story, great acting. The second and third time that you watch a good movie, you can learn, you can pick up the finer details that you didn't see from the first time you were watching it. Does that make sense? So HTC graduate, sit back, relax, enjoy the journey. And for the new students, for the new members that are joining us, and I want to welcome you. In the next 7 weeks is going to be a very, very special journey. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have been waiting for this for a few weeks now? Go ahead, put in the chat box. Wonderful. Over a month, Jenny said. For a few weeks. So I have Kayvon and Desmond joining me in this program. My kind of left hand and right hand, the co-instructors of this program. We are like a solid triangle. I'll bring of course my perspective and share with you what I know, but I think also hearing from them how their journey, their story, and how they've evolved, and how the skill of high ticket closing has transformed their lives. So maybe Kayvon, share your story first about maybe how we met and where were you before and where are you now.
Yeah, so I still, every time you ask me to share it, I get emotional, and I can feel the hairs on my arms stand up, because I still remember being walking towards the bank. And I remember the amount of the 1,000 pounds of shame and anger and disappointment and embarrassment going to claim bankruptcy. And I remember when I was standing in that line and thinking about when I first started my entrepreneur journey, I look back on all the things that I failed at. The affiliate marketing, the coaching, the lifestyle coaching, the lifestyle laptop dream. I was trying to do speaking events. I was doing affiliate marketing. I was doing drop shipping, MLM. I mean, I've done everything. And at this point in line at the bank, I'm $120,000 in debt. I had sold my house. I'd sold my car. I left a very, very good career for my dream, for this opportunity, and it was going to be over within minutes. And when I was standing in that line, I remembered when I first started this journey, when I first made that commitment to really leap, I said, I will not give up under no circumstances, even if it's going to kill me. And I walked out of that bank that day, and I went home, and the first thing I did was look up business guru mentor, business entrepreneur mentor, and up comes this man in a red suit. Now, when I saw this red suit, I was scared, because a year before that, I was trying to also be a speaker. I tried to be a speaker. I was sitting in an event at a TEDx conference, and out comes this guy I've never met, never heard of, in a red suit, and he walks across the stage. And I remember it was in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, and I was sitting in the crowd, and I remember seeing the red suit, and I knew this man was successful. But instead of admitting to his success, I try to run away from that idea. And I remember thinking, screw this guy. Who's this guy in the red suit? And as I look and I think about it now, that was just me being scared. It was me. Dan was a reflection of something I was not, of something I wanted to become. And that night, after I left the bank and I was online and I see the red suit again, I remember going, oh no, not this guy. But I also knew in that moment that the guy I met a year ago, which I didn't know then, was going to be the guy that will change my life. That red suit symbolized something that was bigger than me. And that is why I was in that crowd. And it only took a year of failure for me to meet him. And when I met Dan, I asked him. I remember, and Desmond will tell the story of how he got me into meeting Dan. But when I met Dan for the first time, I asked him straight out. I said, Dan, I'm $120,000 in debt. I've tried everything. If you can't help me, it is over. can you help me? And he simply just said, he put his hand, I'll never forget, he's put his hand on my hand, and he said, I can help you, but under one condition. So what's that? You have to stop listening to everybody. You listen to nobody except me. I said, no problem. That next day, I went back to my business. I fired, or I let go of all the people I couldn't even really afford. I had about 8 employees at that time. I stopped doing everything, and I just listened. And Dan, within 2 weeks, showed me high-ticket selling. I never even knew what the wealth triangle was. He just showed me a high-income skill. And he never showed it to me in detail. I'll tell you this, and he never showed it to me the way he's about to show it to you in the next 7 weeks. He basically just said, Kayvon, there are people out there that need this skill, that need this service. I know you have the skill. Go do it. And I went and I did it. And when I failed, I'd say, Dan, now what? And he'd tweak a little bit here. Now what? Within 2 weeks, I was earning more money than I made in the last 2 years. Within 1 month, I earned more money than I ever made in a month in my career, and the story goes on there. And for everyone to really understand how this came, that is when Dan came to me and said, well, if I can show Kayvon this, imagine how much more impact we can have, how much more impact the world will have if I can show more people this skill. And I said, yes, Dan, let's go, let's do this. And then here we are today.
I'm also curious, put in the chat box, how many of you have been watching my videos or listening to my podcast? You have followed my work, let's say, for more than a month now. I just want to do a quick survey. Okay, how many of you follow my work more than 6 months? And how many of you follow my work more than 1 year? 1 year and above. And it's very, very interesting what Kayvon was sharing, that we kind of met at TEDx. That's the first time we he saw me, and it took almost a year for him to reach out to say, hey, Dan, can you help me? And I hear that story a lot. Sometimes people, they see my work, they see what I do. They might see it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, a year, 2 years. Some within a week, they kind of jump on the opportunity to learn from me. It's quite interesting. Desmond, maybe share your story about how you got started, because your story is also fascinating, but it's from a different perspective, because as a father of 2 kids, I think your story would also resonate a little bit differently with our students as well.
Well, thank you very much, Sifu. I start off by calling Dan Sifu, which I know he'll explain a little bit later on. But for those who understand the martial arts culture, if you watch movies or you know about Bruce Lee, you'll know that the term Sifu means master or teacher. And I say that with the utmost respect. I'm 40 years old right now, and I've got 2 young kids. I live in a designer home. I drive a very nice luxury SUV. I get to buy designer clothing, custom-made suits. I get to eat the best food, the nicest sushis in the world, and I make a multi-million-dollar, income coming in right now, and it's a multi-six-figure income coming in this year alone because of one man, a mentor. I just wrote a chapter in a book. You might know actually the author of this book, which I co-collaborated as an author on. His name is Dr. Joe Vitale, and he talks a lot about law of attraction and attracting abundance in your life. And there was a time in my life a couple of years ago where I was very much into the New Age thinking, and even though I was raised as a Catholic, came from a Christian background, and I firmly believe in anyone who has very strong religious grounding, as long as you don't harm anyone with your religious beliefs. I respect people who have those kind of good disciplines. So I was raised as in a pretty strict family. I was born in Singapore, and I immigrated to Canada as an immigrant. separated from my home and, thrust into a culture where I was made fun of, I was bullied, but I soon adapted to the culture and I naturalized and identified myself as a Canadian. And many times people actually call me the banana. So, you might hear me say some terms from time to time. You can laugh if you want. The banana is the yellow on the outside, white on the inside. Okay, so don't get all PC on me here. Politically correct. I'm just going to speak from the heart. If you give me permission to do that. And as I grew up in Canada, I got disillusioned after some time. Not really identifying with who I was. Okay, and some of you out there might actually relate to that. You try to be someone that you're not. And what happened was, I had this pulling, this call to want to go back to Asia and identify. So, lo and behold, at the age of 23, I started chasing some tail. I went out there, of course, as young guys do. I went out to Asia, I went out to Japan and loved the whole sushi and racing cars and samurais. Forget about the Japanese cute girls, I was just out there to go see the big Apple, the big Tokyo, and to enjoy the life there. And so I did. I went out there. And but just before that, I'd already been introduced to somewhat of a network marketing and this whole system, kind of the Amway. I'm just going to say it out, right? The Amway system, which I love. I love the company Amway, great company, right? Rich DeVos, Jay Van Andel, great guys. But I learned from those guys at a very early age about having mentors. But the word mentor never really made any sense to me at that time. I just sort of understood it as, okay, it's like a boss or someone you learn from, great. And I saw these very wealthy couples that, that diamond rings and private jets and stuff like that, and I aspired to want that. But in my 20s, as I got distracted, playing around in Tokyo and with my newfound, income coming in as a young professional, I made a lot of money, but I also squandered my money. And then entered my life this gentleman named Mike Makiyama. And he was one of the first gentlemen to teach me how to dress the part, and I worked under him as a salesperson. And I made phone calls, and I picked up the phones, and we went through, telephone lists, and I had to make 100 phone calls by 10 o'clock in the morning. The typical sales things, the sales tactics. I learned everything from him. How to put the pocket square in my pocket, how to dress up with a necktie. I did all the typical sales things. And Mike Makiyama taught me how to set the stage, as he would call it, for sales. And I thought I was a good salesperson. Mike Makiyama was a great guy, and he taught me some of the introductions into Japan. I'd accumulated some wealth, and I branched away from his company, and I met with some partners, and we set up our own sort of business. It was a crazy business. I learned, I had the gift of the gab, and I talked to some investors about investing in our company. I raised $500,000. And another gentleman who had actually invested in me, this gentleman named Nagayama-san, this Japanese man, started to teach me the ways of Japanese culture, because he could speak very good English. He was a vice president of a very large consulting firm. And again, here I was, I was fortunate enough to have someone show me the shortcuts, the ways to navigate the minefield. If anyone knows about the Japanese culture, it's an extremely closed culture. They're, almost downright, and if there are any Japanese people listening to this, please don't take an insult to it. I mean, they're very protective. They're very exclusive. You have to earn their trust before they accept you into their inner circle. And so this Nagayama-san taught me those things. He got me into geisha houses, like the really high-end stuff that the politicians and the rich people go to, stuff that normal citizens don't get into, and I got to see all that world. But once again, I did not really appreciate the lessons. And then I branched away from him, and I married my wife, and we set up some businesses. We owned a couple of restaurants, raised another $500,000, lost another $500,000, doing all those things, and I got into the music business. And for those of you who are on the call 5 minutes before we started at 6, right? I usually come on as MC. You might have actually heard me use some Japanese, and I related to you a story of my door being banged on. Around 2013, what had happened was both my wife and I were such fanatical workaholics with 2 young babies, and I'd already worked at Goldman Sachs. I'd worked at these big giant consulting firms. I thought I was a hot shit. I'm in my early 30s, a young father, but cocky and arrogant as heck, and I thought I knew it all, and yet I was going bankrupt, and yet my wife was going bankrupt, and I could not do anything. I could not figure out how to save it. Our marriage was falling apart. The woman I loved was having the most bitter fights with me, and I thought I was just really lost, and I lost a lot of confidence. And so what did I do? Rather than try to submit my pride and learn from someone or stop, what I did was I decided to borrow more money after losing money, in a poor investment of several investors. And rather than taking the blame and the responsibility for myself, I tried to borrow money, and I borrowed money from the Japanese mafia. Yes, the Yakuza, the ones you see in, the Kill Bill kind of stuff. But I mean, that's Hollywood there, right? The real guys actually wear suits. They do have chopped off fingers, and they do make people disappear if you don't pay your debts. And that was the situation. One day when you meet me face to face, or we get on a telephone call, if you want to hear the more extended story, I'll go into more detail, but not tonight. And I can tell you, if you've ever been in a situation of utmost fear, like vomit type fear, where you cry as a man because you've got 2 young babies and a wife who does not love you, she's telling you, that you don't matter, that she's having to go to work because you're not bringing in the bread, and you're not saving the family, and you're causing the instability and insecurity in the family. That's the situation I was in 2013 October. And I reached out to another mentor, a multimillionaire living in Thailand. His name was Matthew. I got to know him through the law of attraction and through Secret and, Dr. Joe Vitale and people like that. But even Matthew told me, he said, Desmond, you got yourself into shit. You manifested this stuff. You're going to have to get yourself out of it. 12 years of your pride living in Japan, thinking you're hot shit, you're going to have to now stop everything, cut your losses, and move back to Vancouver. And so enter 2014, January 28th. I now have to take my 2 confused children away from their mom. We're being evicted from our brand new condominium with thousands and thousands of dollars of designer furniture all being chucked in the recycle bin, or the just given away for free because we had no time while we're being evicted. Suits being thrown in the garbage, 2 suitcases, and having to call my father to come and pick me up from Japan because I had no money to even pay for plane tickets. 37 years old, a loser. So I come back to Canada, Chinese New Year, and I take a job. I could not even afford a car. I had to take the dumb, dirty commuter bus, which I absolutely hate. I'm not putting on anyone who's a bus driver or public transport. Good for you guys, but fuck that shit. I like driving in my nice luxury car now, and hell no am I ever going to take the fucking public transit ever again. I did that with stinky people and construction workers and all that kind of shit, and people swearing every day and grumpy people. I'll never do it again. But I did it. I submitted my pride, and I started to pay off my debts one by one. At the end of that year, that company, which I worked so hard for, Sony, decided to lay us off. So here I am again, single father, getting ridiculed by my own parents, my wife estranged, not communicating with my kids. My kids didn't see their mom. And I'm trying to pay off $100,000 in debt. The money I borrowed from the Yakuza, fortunately, a family friend had lent me that money to pay off that debt. But now I owed that family. So I had to work it off. If I was to do it at a job, it would take me 20 years to pay off that debt. So I had to do something different. And so I started to get creative again. The entrepreneur in me was doing internet marketing, affiliate marketing. I was trying everything like Kayvon, doing all the different schemes and entering my email into every different thing you see out there to try to find some shortcut, some pill, some magic secret to kind of give me that extra money. It's almost like playing buying lottery tickets. And then I decided, maybe I'll start my own entrepreneurs group. And when I typed in Vancouver entrepreneur, I saw this guy, Dan Locke. I was like, who the hell is this Dan Locke guy? Dan Locke here, Dan Locke there, Dan Locke. I was like, oh, fuck, who's this Dan Locke guy? So I decided to go spy on him, right? How many of you would have done that? I decided to go spy on him. So I went down to check out who this Dan Locke was. And I'd been in a lot of meetup groups, okay? Who's been to many meetup groups? Post in the chat, meetup groups, right? What do typical meetup groups look like? Some restaurant, some people throwing business cards around, right? The same old people. Well, no, Dan was different, you see. He held his meetup group at this place called the Vancouver Club. I'd worked in the hospitality. I worked in the hotels. I was a concierge in training. Like, this is where billionaires and millionaires congregate. This is a private members club. You can't even get in there without an invitation. And Dan Lok was doing a meetup there. I was like, who's this Dan Lok guy? So I walk in there, and immediately it changed my perception of who he was. When I heard him speak, I don't know what, I was like, who is this guy? He knows what he's talking about. There is something about him that I need to get around. So let me fast forward a bit here. I've already had the chance in my life to have had 3 or 4 potentially profound mentors, and I never took that chance. And here I was seeing a guy who really knew his shit, and I was like, I'm not going to do what everyone is doing. Everyone's trying to hit him up and they're trying to say, Dan, please be my mentor, please be my mentor. And I did not do that. I decided to wait for a bit and watch and learn and try to figure out what is it that Dan wants. I tried to think what would give value to this multimillionaire who has everything. It seemed like he had everything in the world. You know, he doesn't need anything from me. And I'd scheduled an interview with a television network using my charm and using my connections, and during that time I had a little bit of one-on-one private time with him, and he invited me to have coffee and tea with him, and I'll never forget that moment. He looked me in the eye after getting to know me a bit through some rapport building, and he said, Desmond, I want you to work with me. I want you to, I will help you and I'll mentor you on one condition, like Kayvon's, right? You listen to me and you trust me. You'll hear Kayvon say the very similar thing. He asked me to trust him. And it was a turning point in my life. I was never going to make that same mistake again. I was never going to let another go by. And this mentor, this time round, this Dan Lok, made all the difference. The reason I am where I am today was because I submitted my pride. I put aside everything I thought I knew, and it didn't happen overnight, guys. Trust me. Sifu still kicks my ass till today, and it hurts when it gets kicked. Trust me, it's like getting punched by Bruce Lee. And I can tell you that if you can relate to my story, put everything aside, suspend any disbelief you have, and listen to what this man has to share with you. Because unlike every other guru or mentor out there in the world, he gives a shit. He actually cares about your success as he has cared for mine and my family. So, that's it, Dan. That's my story. If you want to hear more about that, we will have more times in this next 7 weeks where I'll share with you more tidbits and better parts to that. But I want to pass the mic back to Dan because there's so much he wants to share with you tonight, and it would be unfair of me to hold the mic this long.
Des, thank you for sharing. The reason I'm asking both Kayvon and Desmond share their stories is maybe, I don't know where you're at in terms of your career or your situation. Maybe your situation is not as bad as they were, or maybe it's worse. But it doesn't matter that myself, I'm a living proof, and both of them, and also all the other HTC graduates, that they are living proof that it doesn't matter the roads you've been down. It doesn't matter the mistakes that you've made. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter where you came from. That your past does not equal your future. Your past does not equal your future. Now I'm going to have Desmond go over a little bit of housekeeping rules. Then we'll jump right into the program.
Awesome. Okay. So for those of you calling in with your phones, you see, I mentioned it earlier on, right? It's interactive. Those on your computers using the internet, it's an easy button. There's a little icon with that is called Raise Your Hand. We're going to be asking you questions, and from time to time, Dan is even going to ask you to, participate, maybe even come out for a role play or share what you've learned, some of your aha moments. The way to do that is to raise your hand. For those on your telephones, if you're driving, please do it safely. To do that, you hit *2. *2, we'll see that. We have moderators, we have admins, myself, I'm actually watching the dashboard in the back there, and we will do our very best to give as many people an opportunity to speak and participate in the training. So that's number one. Number two, HTC graduates, well done. Congratulations from graduating in the previous batches. Now you are the seniors here. You guys have a new responsibility. It is up to you to lead and lead by example. You will know and identify those members because you will see them, how they put their names. For example, I have seen some of the members out there. Say, for example, we have Jennifer Sobel. Jennifer Sobel, right? And where she's from, and then she'll say HTC graduate right after her name. That's how you can identify. In fact, some of these graduates will become your best friends, Batch 3 members, because these are the people that are going to help you to navigate.
Stop!
Sorry, say again?
Oh, good. Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. I just heard someone chime in there. All right. And for billing and technical questions, always email to support@high-ticket-sales. Now, class starts on Thursday at 6, and it goes till 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And number 5, if you miss the class, we will be posting a replay a couple of days after the class ends. So if you don't get the replay after a couple of days, then send in an email to support@high-ticket-sales. But please do check your junk and spam folders to make sure that you have received the email there, because many times people will post in a question and only to find out it was actually in your junk folder, and all it takes is for you to whitelist our emails. That's it.
And then our class usually starts on Thursday, unless I'm traveling somewhere, but usually Thursday, every week, same time, same place. Although here I can see the HTC graduates, usually it's 6 to 8 p.m. I don't think we've ever had a class that is 2 hours long. Chances are we usually go 2 hours and 30 minutes, sometimes in some cases 3 hours. 3 hours and 30 minutes. We've gone as close as to 4 hours. The reason for that is this. The reason for that is when I teach this program live, that I'm not looking at the time. I'm not looking, I'll just teach for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'll get off the phone and things like that. I won't get off the fucking phone until I've answered every single one of your questions. I won't get off the phone unless I believe I've delivered what you needed to know. Okay? So, and if you miss a class, you will get the replay, as Desmond said, in a couple of days after each class ends. So what makes HTC totally different from every single damn program you've taken in the past? Now, for the new members who are joining us, how many of you have been kind of poking around in the Facebook group a little bit and reading some of the posts and seeing the other members and how they interact? Put that in the chat box. How many have been doing that? What do you notice from the Facebook group? How is it different from maybe other Facebook groups that you belong to that you've seen? Family, positive, Aaron said, huge support, positivity, upbeat. What else do you see? Community support, very, very active. One unit, happy attitudes, engagement, discipline, community, no BS. And I'm very proud, and I take pride in the fact that I think we've created a very, very special community, and that's why we refer to as the HTC family. And I think by the end of 7 weeks, you'll see why we call what we do our group HTC family. What I want to share with you is you are home. You are home. In some cases, you'll see that the HTC family members, they might understand you more than you do. They might understand you more than your family does. They know what you're going through. They're going through the same journey as you. They might have faced the same challenges as you. They have overcome those challenges. It's a very, very different environment. And what I've created is kind of like a greenhouse for you to nurture, for you to grow, for you to develop. Right? I've architected this place, a place that is safe, a place that you could be yourself, a place where you get the support and guidance that you need. HTC is not just about Dan Lok. HTC is about everyone. I cannot do what I do just by myself. I cannot do what I do without my team. I cannot do what I do without the support of the entire HTC family. Does that make sense? Put in the chat box. So number one, what makes HTC different? Number one is transformation, not just information. What the HTC program is about is not just about giving you a bunch of information and you watch some videos, you learn some stuff, and then that's it. How many of you ever bought other programs in the past? Put in the chat box. You've invested in other programs, maybe attended workshops, maybe an online program or membership site, whatever that is. And how many of you ever experienced this? That you invest in the program, and the program is good, and the information is good, and maybe even you like the instructor, the teacher, but somehow you don't implement what you learned, or you only implement a tiny fraction of what you've learned. In spite of best intention, in spite maybe the information is phenomenal, but you only use a small piece of it. How many have done that before? Lack of follow through. Been there, done that, yes. So HTC is about transformation, it's not about information. Because I think most programs, they teach you to do this, they teach you you should do that, and don't do this, and then don't do that. That's not the way that I teach. That's not the way that I teach. I'm here to change the way that you think. If I could change the way that you think, I can help but change the way that you do things. If I could change the way that you do things, I can help but help you produce a different result. The way that I teach, I don't just solve this problem. I go to the core. I go to the core of who you are, what's holding you back. And you might think when you join this program, oh, Dan is going to teach me how to close. I'm going to teach you how to close. Dan's going to teach me how to communicate. I'm going to teach you how to communicate. Dan's going to teach me how to persuade and influence. I'm going to teach you how to influence and persuade. But much more than that, I'm going to change who you are. I'm going to turn you and transform you into a closer. Because until and unless you do that, you're always focusing on just the techniques and strategies. Until you make that internal shift, you will not be very, very effective. So by the end of that 7 weeks, you will never be the same. You'll never look at closing the same way again. You'll never look at business the same way again. You'll never look at sales the same way again. You'll never look at your life the same way again. And you'll never look at yourself the same way again. The experience, the best way that I could describe it, at least from the other HTC family members, what they told me in the past. How many of you have seen The Matrix? If you have not seen the movie, I believe it is on Netflix. You can watch it again. That's the best experience that I think it is closest to what we do. And this is Morpheus. It's one of the scenes from the movie The Matrix. And he said to Neo, this is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I will show you how deep the hole goes. So let me ask you a question. You want to take the red pill, or you want to take the blue pill? Put in the chat box.
Dan, as they're putting, I'm hoping the red pill in the chat box. I just want to say this right now at this moment is, in order for you guys, for everyone, to go to that level, to where that red pill is, you're going to have to be someone else. Dan is creating an opportunity here. He's creating a foundation, a space for you to change who you are. And in order for that, you have to give yourself that permission to change who you are as an entrepreneur, as a friend, as a mother, as a father, as whatever that is you're being today. And you have to be able to let yourself go so that Dan can show you what that red pill really is, and then give it to you in a way that you are ready to accept it and you're ready to enjoy it.
And all I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more. All I'm offering the truth. Nothing more. Although it's interesting that I'll be teaching you a lot, but that's not quite what I do. My focus is actually not to teach you. My focus is to help you discover within yourself. In fact, write this down. Write the word discover. Throughout this program, I'll be asking you to take notes and write things down and say things out loud so that it's a very interactive experience. So write this down. Write the word discover. It's to discover that within yourself. What does the word discover mean? It means uncover something that was already there. For some of you, I'm not here to teach you or new things. For some of you, I'm here to help you to unlearn some of the shit that you've learned from the past. To unlearn a lot of the mistakes. To unlearn things that are wrong. Discover. And every single person who learned from me, they all go through what I call the kind of the 3 stages. Now, if you remember the movie, The Matrix, how Neo in the beginning, he was this programmer, and he just felt that there's something is off. That something wasn't quite right about what's living in. He wasn't sure what is going on. And as he's discovered more and more about himself, and people were telling him, oh, you're the one. Remember that scene? Oh, you're the one, and Neo said, what's the one? I'm not the one. Trust me, I'm not the one. Until at the very end of that scene, that Neo suddenly got it. Suddenly he saw things from a whole different way, in a whole different perspective. And every single student who learns from me goes through 3 stages. The first stage is not getting it. I call that not getting it. They think they got it, but not getting it. What I'm sharing with them, they don't get it, they don't understand it, they just not getting it. Second stage is getting it. They're kind of a little bit more aware, they have a little bit of understanding, they understand that a little bit more, getting it. And the third stage is got it. That they actually got it, not intellectually, but emotionally and intellectual, not just intellectual, but emotionally. They actually got it, what I'm actually trying to teach them.
I can just tell you, you can tell Dan Dan got it. He has it. He knows he has it so well, he knows when I want to say something without even me having to say anything. And that's the power of what you can become when you hang out with Dan, and when you become someone even half as great as Dan is. But what I wanted to say is that third level is it's not just you got it, it's you become it. You don't ask questions like, am I learning? Did I get it? No, those questions, those are when you think you have it, but you don't have it. When you finally, when it clicks, and I'll tell you, for some of you, it's going to click maybe by week 6, maybe by week 7. Some of you, it might click maybe post that. But if you stick to it and you open yourself up to it, it's going to click. And that's when you're going to get to that level, I got it. And when you get it, you will become it. And when you become it, that's when it becomes powerful. Mm-hmm. That is when you can start filling your bank up and being able to close anybody and anyone anywhere.
And that's exactly it in the movie, one of the scenes when Neo suddenly looks at the world as a bunch of green coats. He thought, that's how the world works. That's the reality, not the illusion, not this fake world that he was in. The truth, the reality, and you experience that. You might that week 1, you might experience that week 5, you might experience that week 7. I don't know. When you see the green code, it's up to you. It's not up to me. It's up to you. But when you do, you will never look at things the same way again. You'll never look at communication the same way again. You'll never look at people the same way again. Number 2, what makes this program different? Implementation, not just theory. Everything that I do, everything that I teach you is what I do. Is what Kayvon does, is what Desmond does. This is what I sleep, breathe, eat every single day. High ticket sales. This is what I do. This is not a learning program. This is not a bunch of videos where you log in and you watch and you watch passively. We don't do that shit. This is a live mentorship from me, Kayvon, and Desmond. I'm teaching you live. That's why I insist on teaching this live, because I don't believe I can impact you the same way, I can coach you the same way if I were just to give you a bunch of videos. Oh, hey, watch some of this shit. I don't believe in that. I believe skill is transfer like this. Like I am in front of you. I am here with you, right? I'm teaching you like this. That's why you never, ever just do that kind of bullshit. When I teach it live. And each class runs about 2 hours, 2.5 hours every week. Chances are it's probably going to be like 3 hours.
I was like, Dan, I don't think we've ever gone 2 or even 2.5 hours.
Yes. So this is how we roll. Just to give you a little bit of heads up. Number 3, you will get direct and no BS immediate feedback from me, Kayvon, and Desmond. When going to week 3, week 4, when we are doing role play, when we are doing a lot of different things, that we can unmute you. You have questions, you get direct feedback. Now, sometimes it may not be the feedback that you want to hear. Sometimes in life, isn't it true that the feedback we need the most may not be the feedback that we want to hear? So I'm here to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Are you with me? And if you've never been through one of my training programs before, it might get a little dicey for you. If you're offended by grown-up talk, frank language, and the occasional, frequent use of profanity, we might have a problem. So the way that I teach, I don't have a script. I have kind of an outline. I shoot from the hip. I just share with you whatever comes from my heart. I don't have a script. I don't have like agenda. I have kind of like an outline that I follow through. Whatever comes to mind, I just teach. I just share. And also depends on the questions. Sometimes that you ask. Sometimes that you put in a chat box. So sometimes I'll go off the plan or go off the PowerPoint. I don't care about the PowerPoint. I care about you and you getting it. You got this? A true martial artist is the integration of the warrior and sage. He or she is a man or she's a woman of peace, and he has the ability to destroy. I truly believe that, you notice I use a lot of martial art metaphor because I'm a martial artist, and also because as who I am today, a lot of my business philosophies they are the influence by Bruce Lee and they're influenced by martial art. That I believe a true warrior, someone that can hold a baby on your left hand, a crying baby on the left hand, and in the right hand you can be squeezing an enemy's throat and rip his throat out. That your combination, your integration between a warrior and a sage. And you see why in the upcoming weeks, why this mentality is very, very critical. Because some of you are trying to be too much of a sage. That you're trying to save the world before you save yourself. that in your whole life you're trying to help somebody else, and you're trying to help somebody else, and you're trying to help somebody else. And yet the most important person in the world that you need to help, which is yourself, and you don't help yourself. On the other hand, you have people who are too much of a warrior, too ruthless, to do whatever it takes, too type A personality, that it's all about you, and you don't give a fuck about anybody else. And you just kill, you just hunt, you just conquer. That's not very effective either. I'm going to teach you how to be a combination, an integration of both. So you could be a warrior when you need to, but you also could learn how to be a sage when you need to as well. Are you getting this? Here's a quote from Bruce Lee. A teacher is never a giver of truth. He is a guide, a pointer to the truth that each student must find for himself or herself. That's why I'm not here to teach you. You might think I do, but really what I do is I help you discover within yourself. And I'm in a very, very unique position. What allows me to do that I could care about your success and be absolutely committed to your success without caring what you think. Because I don't need your fucking money. I don't need your money. Because of that, I could teach you, I can say what I want to say without caring that if you like me or you don't like me or how you think or all this BS that would prevent me from doing my job as a mentor. Whatever investment that you make, and for some of you it's a lot of money, it's a few $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. It doesn't change my life one fucking iota. Not one bit. So then, without that, I can focus just being here 100% with you. Brian said, I have no conflict of interest. That's right, I have no conflict of interest. So I could just tell you the fucking truth. I don't care if you like it. I'll just tell you, I can call you out on your bullshit. And I might be the one of the very few people in the world that could do that. And I would do that throughout 7 weeks. I'll do that after 7 weeks. You'll always get that from me. You might not like my feedback, but you can always expect just direct, no bullshit, blunt feedback. And unlike most gurus, this is not what I do for a living. I make my living doing what I teach. Just this morning, when Desmond was coming over to help me with my Bentley, I mean, I was closing a deal on the phone, right, Des?
Yep.
Right? You eavesdrop a little bit.
That's right. I walked into your office and you were closing on the phone, and then it was a big deal too. It was a freaking big deal.
This is what I do. I make my living building companies and investing. I make my fortune doing high-ticket sales every fucking day. Not teaching high-ticket sales, doing high-ticket sales. So, in the next 7 weeks, here's what I want you to do. I want you to promise me. I want you to suspend your disbelief because some of you are so fucking skeptical. I know you. And I don't blame you. Maybe you tried other things in the past and they have failed you. Maybe you've been burned in the past. Maybe you've been scammed in the past. I do not know. But what I want you to promise me is you will step outside of who you are. And you step outside of your comfort zone. Because who you are today, so far, got you the results that you have so far. And is it the result that you want? Is that what you want? So in the next 7 weeks, just be coachable. Same thing I said to Desmond, same thing I said to Kayvon. If you're going to be here, be here. You want to learn from me, learn from me. If you are you go all in, I go all in. And that's why our class runs over time. Can you promise me you would do that? Can we make that agreement? Put in the chat box. That you give you 100%. Nothing but 100%. Not 50%, not tippy-toe, not half-ass. The more that you put into it, the more that you will get out of this program. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. You'll get out exactly what you put into it. So here's what to expect in the next 7 weeks. For the week 1 and week 2, what I'm going to give you is the why. I'm going to teach the mindset of high ticket sales. I'm going to lay a very strong foundation, what you need to succeed. And then for week number 3 and 4, I'm going to give you the strategies, the what to do, what to say. I'm going to give you the what, week 3 and week 4. And week 5, 6, and 7, then I'm going to teach you the how, the script, and exactly how to say it. Out of all 7 weeks, I could tell you, actually, let me ask you this question. Which 1, 2, and 3, which one you think is the most important, that has the most important contributing factor to your success? Take a guess. 1 and 2. My question is why? Why 1 and 2? Mindset is everything, yes. It's the foundation of everything. Well said. It is is the root. Mindset, you got it. It is the most important. And you see a lot of the script or what to say or the line or how to handle objections or the business aspect, all that stuff is easy if you get the mindset right. But if you don't get the mindset right, I can give you all the mechanics in the world, it won't work. In fact, if you don't have the mindset, I can give you the perfect mechanics, the perfect thing to say, the perfect script. Guess what? You're going to fuck it up. You'll find a way to fuck it up. But if the mindset correct, everything else works. Everything else works. The hardest prison to escape in the world is in your mind.
This is so powerful because I just think about it. Even if we just looked at the next 7 weeks, your mind is either going to make you in the next 7 weeks, or it's going to break you. And you have the decision, but the mind is even more powerful. And you have to work that much harder, that much stronger. You have to be that much more committed for the next 7 weeks. So the mind, the negative, the scarcity doesn't take over. Because I'll tell you this, that scarcity mindset, that I can't do it mindset is way stronger, believe it or not, way stronger than the I can do it. I'm worthy. I am able. So you're going to have to go into overdrive. Because the one thing that Dan said, and one thing you'll always hear from me, is everything that you get in your life, whether it's relationships, money, personal, spiritual, physical, is a direct reflection of what's going on the inside. So chances are today, if you don't like what's happening on the outside in your life, it's because you don't like what's actually going on the inside of who you are as a person. And that is what we're going to be doing throughout the 7 weeks. We are going to change you. We are going to make you. We're probably going to have to break you at some point, and then we're going to build you up. And you're going to have everything you need to be successful. But it starts right here.
To add to that, Kayvon, for those that are still disbelieving this, you're not the first batch. There are 2 other batches that have gone before you. All you need to do is ask them, and of course they've been trained not to give you all the secrets because it would spoil your experience and the transformation that you need to come to grips with to step into your power. But I can tell you this, if they can do it, same mentor, same lessons, same transformations and they can get results, I want to ask you, why can't you? So, again, it goes back to what I said before, suspend any disbelief.
And that's why the hardest prison to escape is in your mind. That you lock yourself up. For some people, you've been locked up in your mind for a long time. And the funny thing is, no one locked you up. You locked yourself up. I'm talking to you. For years. Although you are yelling, you are screaming, and you say, let me out. I don't want to be here. I am stuck. I hate being here. But guess what? You are the one who locked the door and throw away the key. Because you're the only person that can lock yourself up. And here I am, as a seafood, I showed up, and I say, here's the key. Take it. No, I don't want it. Here's the key. Take it. No, I don't want it. Just take the fucking key. Take the key. Okay, I'll take the key. Now what, Dan? Here is the hole. Put your key into it. This here? Yes. Here. Do it. Like here? Yeah. And then what? Turn the fucking key. Okay. All right. I'll turn the key. Now then what? Open the goddamn door. Okay, I'll open the door. And then what do? Walk the hell out and escape. You mean like using my right foot or left foot? Just who cares? Walk the hell out and escape. Oh, okay. That's the problem. And some of you are operating this way. I know. So, the right mindset, here's the formula, write this down. The right mindset plus the right skill set plus the right action equals guarantee success. I'll say that again. The right mindset, which I'm going to give you, plus the right skill set, which now I'm just going to train you. We're also going to role play. I'm going to give you example. You're going to actually role play with all the HTC family members, plus taking the right action. Watching the class is not going to make you good. Watching the class, taking what you learn and practice and role play and put in action, that's what's going to make you good. So repeat after me. The right mindset plus the right skill set plus the right action, say it with me, equals guarantee success. And throughout the 7 weeks, let me promise you, you are going to be confused. I guarantee you, you're going to be confused. And also guarantee you're going to be overwhelmed. You will be overwhelmed. Confusion is very, very normal, and getting overwhelmed is very, very normal. I want you to celebrate it. It is very, very normal. Why is it normal? Because it means you're learning something new. It means you're growing. It's new information coming in. You are developing new habits, good habits. So confusion is normal. So don't freak out. Don't panic. Say, oh my God, this is too much, or I'm not getting this, or I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed out. It's very, very normal. It's very normal. So promise me. Put in the chat box. When this happens, celebrate it. When you get confused, what do? You celebrate it. When you get overwhelmed, what do you do? You celebrate it. Don't shy away from it. Don't avoid it. It's a good thing. Okay, Yvonne?
I was going to say, and get comfortable with it. Get comfortable with being overwhelmed and being confused. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, basically.
And it's no different when it's like when you are working out, when you are developing new muscles, right? Let's say I want to develop a stronger bicep, right? I will lift weight. If I don't lift the weight, I just move my arms. I'm not going to grow my muscles that much. I got to lift some kind of weight, and then I'm not used to. I'm holding a dumbbell for 10, 15, 20, 25 pounds, and I'm curling. I'm working that muscle. At first, what happens? When you try to build that muscle, what's going to happen? It's going to hurt, right? It's going to get sore, right? And next day it's like, oh my God, it just hurts. I can't move my arm. Oh my goodness. Oh, and a few days later, oh shit, I got to do this shit again. Okay, all right, I got to do a curl again. And then eventually, first, maybe you can only do 15 pounds or 10 pounds. And then later on, you can do 20 pounds, right? You got to do 25 pounds. And when you recover, like Aaron said, right, you got to stretch. When you stretch, when you recover and you get a little bit stronger, and you do it again, you get a little bit stronger, right? And it burns like, oh fuck, man, this is painful. And then after a while, oh, you know what? I am strong. I'm able to lift more weight. So in order to grow anything, when you learn anything new, in order to grow, you're going to experience what? What's the word? Tell me, what's the word? Come on. Pain. You're going to experience pain. Without pain, there's no growth. Repeat after me. Without pain, there is no growth. Without pain, there is no growth. So you feel overwhelmed, you feel confused, or you lose confidence when you role play. Guess what? I promise you, the first time you role play, you're going to suck. You're going to be like, oh my God, I suck. I can't say this correctly. I'm too nervous. I don't know how to do this. I don't remember the line. Oh shit, I asked the wrong questions. Oh man, I talked too fast. And you're going to be like, oh God damn it. This is so hard. This is so painful. And when you experience that, what do? You just feel shitty about yourself? Or what do? You celebrate it. You embrace it. You celebrate the pain. And you get back to it. And you know what? One more. Let me just do one more. One more curl. One more role play. One more phone call. One more. And then it hurts. And fuck, I suck. You do one more. Damn, I suck. One more. And eventually, after you do enough of that, suddenly one day, it may be, hey, you know what? You're going to suck less. Eventually, you're going to suck so little, then you actually become good. And then one day you wake up and say, I'm actually pretty fucking good with this thing. I'm pretty strong. Everyone wants to eat, but few are willing to hunt. Everyone wants to be successful. No one wants to do what it takes to be successful.
I get this. This Dan has to be one of the most powerful things. If being a closer, being successful in life, anything, it's this right here. Because a lot of people, they say they're willing to do it. They say, oh, I'm going to do it. They invest a little bit of their time, a little bit of their energy, a little bit of their money, and then things start getting a little uncomfortable. Things start getting in their way, and then they quit. But they said, oh, but I'm willing. No, you're not willing until you're literally ready to cut yourself. You're not willing until you're ready to go $150,000 in debt for your dream. That's what the willing to hunt. I mean, you're willing to do whatever it takes. And the reason why I have so much conviction behind this is because I was one of them. I was that person who said, I'm so willing. I'm ready to do whatever. But I wasn't willing to actually change. I was too scared to let myself go. I was too scared of what other people actually really thought of me that I was paralyzed. I was reading the books. I was doing everything they were telling me. I wasn't. I was going through the motions, but I wasn't actually doing what it took. And the reason I say this is because you're going to be on the phone and you're going to be speaking to people just like this, who are saying that they're willing to do whatever it takes, that they want to work with Dan Locke. But when it comes to them investing, they run away. And you need to know how to deal with this. And the only way to deal with this is to be someone who becomes the one who's willing to hunt for their business, for their incomes, for their families, for their futures.
And let me ask you this question. How many of you have tried maybe other businesses in the past or other vehicles or ways of making money in the past and it didn't work for you? Okay, give me some examples. Put a chat box. What have you tried? affiliate,
MLM,
MOM, dropship, stock,
Amazon,
coaching, life coaching, restaurant, network marketing, online business, investing in real estate, selling t-shirts, affiliate, stock option. Yeah, I think I saw some crypto, online retail, mobile, lawn snow service. So you try different things, you fail in different things. Let me share something with you, something that nobody else would tell you. Okay? Every single wealth, so-called these schemes, why didn't they work? And from now on, you can make your decisions very intelligently on how to look at any opportunities. Okay? Just this alone will save you all the mistakes you'll make from the future, all the headaches in the future. Every single one of these so-called opportunities, they all have one thing in common. All these things, all these wealth schemes, including all these scams, they have one thing in common. It is they take you out of the equation. They take you out of the equation. What does that mean? It means, just do this, follow this formula, or it's Amazon, or it's this amazing company that's groundbreaking, or it's this stock, or it's this piece of real estate, or whatever. That they take you out of that wealthy equation. And that's why they fucking fail. You must be part of the equation. You absolutely must be part of the equation in order for it to succeed. They failed because you thought you could get away easy. You thought it's a shortcut. You got greedy, or you were just whatever. It's like, oh man, I just do a little bit of this and money would fall on my fucking lap. You were out of the equation, and that's why you fucking failed. You must be part of the equation. My business works because I fucking make it work. My real estate works because I fucking make it work. My investment works because I make it work. Has nothing to do with that. I'm always part of the equation. I take the credit for the success. I also take the blame for failure. Everything that I teach you, it is about you. It's about developing who you are, honing those skills, gaining that knowledge, not some third party, not some vehicle, not some opportunity, investment. You make it work. When you are good, you can make anything work. People say to me now, hey Dan, man, you're so successful. Everything that you touch turns into gold. You should have met me when I was young, when everything I touch turns into shit. When every single thing I invest in, every single business I was involved with, all of them failed. Why? Because I suck. I was no good. I didn't know how things work. I had no skill sets. I had a lousy, negative mindset. Of course none of that worked. And now everything works because I make it work. You gotta make it work. Nothing will work until you fix this, what's between your head. So from now on, you don't need to look. It's not about some opportunity. It's not about whatever investment. It's nothing to do with that. When you get this piece and you take the responsibility, you know what? It's going to work because I fucking make it work. It's not Dan makes it work. It's not me. I'm simply showing you the truth. I'm showing you a path. Nothing more. Nothing more. I want to emphasize that everything I'm going to share with you, I want to keep it confidential and exclusive for your eyes only, not to be shared or taught to outsiders. Now, Kayvon or Desmond can also talk a little bit about this. We take this very, very seriously.
We take this. I'll let Desmond clean this up because this is really where we call him Sergeant Desmond. But the reality is this: is Dan, I've been saying this. You're right now in the hands of a multi-million-dollar business tycoon. He's going to be opening the doors for you and showing you one of the number one skills to make as much money as you want in every aspect of your life. The skills that he's going to be teaching you, you can't read them in the book. You want to know why? Because Dan has actually developed them himself, and he's done this with trial and error. And it's actually it's like the holy book almost. We take it very serious because the skills we're going to teach you can actually ruin someone's life. It could ruin your life. It could ruin someone else's life. So you have to understand what it is we're doing and how we're doing it, and it all starts from the beginning. So by giving the information out, you're actually going to do a disservice to somebody, and you're going to do a disservice to yourself because you're going to be actually shooting yourself in the leg, really in your own foot. Why would you give this information out to your competition? It just doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. You know, there's a very famous quote out there that says, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm always very flattered when the family calls me Sergeant. I do have a bit of a military background. You know, call it the discipline. You know, maybe being Papa Desmond. I've been called Uncle Desmond, Grandpa Desmond. You know, whatever the case is, really what it comes down to is we're trying to protect you. You'll soon come to realize, especially the Batch 3 members, this is unlike anything you've been out there where, you know, again, this is not a course. You are part of a fraternity, a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a family, in which the information that's being shared here, Sifu has developed over the years, and he's doing it because he wants you to succeed. Now, let me share one last thing here, and that is, why would you want to go and give this information out to people who have not earned it, who do not deserve it? And trust me, we do have teams, very, very covert teams that are out there watching to see, and I'm not trying to scare you with any fear. We just know how to deal with it. We have covert clandestine teams that actually look into seeing who's taking our material and sharing it, and that is the fastest way to end your relationship with Sifu. If we catch you, God forbid, we certainly are going to give you the benefit of doubt that you do not make a foolish mistake and shoot yourself in the foot by thinking with probably unclear intentions about wanting to share this material. If you're not sure, always send in a question to support@highticketsales.com. And I don't want to be that distant guy. You know, in the previous batch, we got really busy. Kayvon, I'll be very honest and transparent. Some of the batch 2 members, you can hear this now. I want to take the time to say to you, you know, I don't want to be that distant guy. As much as I got inundated with messages, if you are ever unsure, okay, I'm here for you. You can ask a question. I will do my utmost best to hear out what you want to do, whether it be sharing some information with someone because you want to help them and you got great. I will be there to guide you and help you, and I'll consult with Sifu or Kayvon. I'll say, hey, you know, such and such wants to do this. Hey, if it works and if it benefits the entire family, great, we are supporting you. But if we find out that you're sharing this to outside people who are not part of our community, you will be booted. Sifu may not even give you back your fucking money. You know, who cares? But we will come and hunt you down. Let me just say that.
And sometimes I think people say, I think it's David's commenting as well, which is good coaching for lesson from everybody, that I think it was the batch 1 when I was teaching the mindset, and someone, I think one of the members said, oh, you know, yeah, you know, I'm waiting for the new stuff. I've heard of this before. I've seen this before. I know this already. Let me tell you 3 most dangerous words in the English language. Are 3 words. I know that. I know that. How do you know when you know something? How do you know when you know something? when you fucking live it. You don't live it, you don't know it. You might have heard of it, you might have seen it, you might remember it, but you don't know it. And that's exactly the problem. The people who say, I know that, usually don't know shit. When I was attending an event, and all my team can attest to this, I'm the one that's very dedicated, taking notes and learning. And I already know an awful lot. And most of the time, I'm probably one of the most, if not the most successful guy in the room. I never say I know that.
Sifu, we spent the month of March traveling, and you of all people attended 3 major masterminds and conferences, and at every single one of them, because of the role that I do, filming and being behind the scenes, I can tell you that it blows my mind how you're the first person in the room, you're sitting down and you're taking notes throughout the entire time. While people are distracted going out of these conferences, you're the one sitting there throughout all the sessions. It's amazing how you do that.
So the 3 most dangerous words. I know that. And it's not your fault, because that's probably the programming you've been running for a long time. When you say, the minute you say that to yourself internally, I know that, what happens? It shuts down your brain. You stop paying attention. You're not receiving anymore. You're not being coachable. Then you just wasted your time. You just wasted your money. Then why are you here in the first place? Think about it. Hopefully not to learn what you already know. Believe me, there's a lot of stuff that I know you do not know. Guys, Kayvon's been with me. How long? Desmond, you've been with me for how long?
And we don't know nothing. The more I'm with Sifu, the more I'm with Dan, the more I see the way he operates, the way he conducts business, the more I realize I don't know anything. I don't know what I don't know. So that's saying that's just really not even having the awareness that things exist. I see that with Dan because he shows me something new every day. And then when I think I know it, I see it in a different light, then I realize I don't know it. And then that's what's powerful, and I think that's what helped me. A lot of people say, so a lot of people have been asking me lately, Kayvon, I want to be like you. I want to be just like you. I want to be the OCC. I said, stop saying you want to be like me and go do what I did. Don't ask me what I do. Ask me what I did to get where I am. And what I did was exactly what we've just told you. I shut up. I listened. I didn't ask questions. I just listened. Okay, what's next? What's next, Dan? Go do that. And when he said to go do that, the difference between me being successful and someone else, literally, I just did it. Dan said, go make calls. Okay, I made calls. I didn't say, okay, I'll make a call tomorrow. I'm gonna clean my house first, and then I'm gonna go get a tan, and I'm gonna go work out, then I'm gonna read a book because I really gotta read a book on mindset before I pick up the phone. And then you know what? It's actually later in the day. I'm gonna really start my day tomorrow the right way. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna eat healthy. No, I fucking just did it. And in fact, I mean, Dan just even offered me something in the last week to be more closer with him and to be able to go more into his brain because I just get shit done. Now, do I get the shit done right all the time? No, but I get it done. And that's what the difference between being the one call closer and saying, oh, this program failed or oh, I suck is literally the distance of you getting shit done and how quick you can get it done.
And Desmond also has been with me now. We are talking, guys, with me. We communicate on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, 3 years.
Learning from me on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, 3 years. The fastest and quickest analogy, anyone who's ever watched the Captain America movie, the Marvel Captain America movie, where, they're running around at Capitol Hill there, and, all you see is Captain America, it says, on your left, and then he goes around, on your left, and that sums up how I feel whenever I'm with Sifu. No matter how, just when you think you caught up, just when you think you've figured it out, just when you think he is the master implementer. And then also to Kayvon, I want to give him some props there. Kayvon he's amazing at implementing, the speed at which. So there's a lesson to be learned. if this has never occurred to you, there's a key message here. It's about implementation. What makes Sifu successful, what makes Kayvon successful, what's helped turn my life around is implementation. So then you just have to ask yourself, out of everything that we're doing tonight, the notes you're taking, everything, the recordings you get, being here, what percentage of this are you going to implement?
And so don't let your mind, again, it's the mental prison of, oh yeah, that doesn't work, I've heard that before. Instead ask, how can I make that work? How does that apply to me? How can I take the right action? In fact, repeat after me. 3 questions. How can I make that work? How does it apply to me? And how do I take the right action? So throughout the 7 weeks, you should be asking yourself mentally these 3 questions all the time. How can I make it work? How does it apply to me? How can I take direct action? So let me hear from you. I want to get to know you a little bit. So let's unmute some people and have them put up their hands. So share with me, why are you here, and what do you want to get out of HTC in the next 7 weeks? Let me hear a little bit about your story and your goal.
Now, before you come on, please make sure that your mic is working, that you do not have any overwhelming background noises. Go to a place that's fairly quiet. Make sure that your mic is working so that when we do call your name out and we do unmute you, you're able to speak. And please do your very best to speak succinctly, because we do have quite a few members on here, and we'd like to give everyone a fair chance to share their story. All right, so the first person we've got is Aaron D'Souza in Vancouver, our own hometown. So Aaron, I'm going to unmute you here in just a second. Aaron, you are unmuted. Go ahead. Aaron, can you hear us? All right, so Aaron, we can't hear Aaron, so we're going to move on. The next person is from Markham, Ontario, is Alec Chan. Alec Chan, I'm going to unmute you right now. Go ahead.
Hey, hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, Alec.
Hi, I'm Alec. I'm from Markham in Ontario. And just a quick about me, why I'm here. So I'm here because last 10 years, last 15 years, I've been trying to really find myself. I've kind of come from a very unique background. I kind of relate a lot to like Desmond's story, Kayvon's story. When I was 16, I worked at my dad's. We had a family business. It was a tool and die shop. So I ran it with my dad for 10 years. When I graduated from university, the whole thing went down. I lost everything. I also got bankrupt because I took out a lot of loans and stuff for it to fund it as well. And also, I've seen, my dad been through a lot too. He's like a very prideful guy. And because of that, he completely lost everything. Like even himself, I think he went, like his mind totally lost it. And for me, I kind of, just got out of school, didn't know, what to expect, because that's how I was raised, that this was supposed to be what I was supposed to be doing for my life. And then when that went down, I didn't know what to do. So all I did was I sold everything. I went out of Canada because, I had nothing, and I went to Singapore just to look for work. And when I started working in Singapore, I was there since 2006 till now. I was working. I thought that was the life I want. It was stable, something predictable. And I thought that's what I wanted. But the thing that really changed was after a while, I started meeting these guys at work. And I see like these guys have been working there for like 20 years, 30 years. And I see those eyes of regret. And it kind of really scared the shit out of me, right? It just really woke me up. And then I started really thinking, if working in my dad's family or business didn't work, working for a job isn't what I want, then what is it what I wanted? And that's where I really started to do a lot of development, to really get out of this shit out of my mind. What's really holding me back? What's really what I want? Not what my dad wants. Not what anyone else tells me that they want me to do, and it's been a journey, like from the whole time in Singapore, just to start changing my mindset. So instead of, I might not have been there yet, in the work, but I started to changing that. Every time in the work, they're paying me whatever to learn. So I just started learning as much as everything I can out of the work. I worked at HP, and I just developed everything. And to the point where I got to the point where just last year I sold everything. I have 2 young kids. I sold everything in Singapore, and I quit my job, and I cashed out everything. And now I'm back in Canada, and this is where now I want to take it to the next level. This is why I want that interests me in this HTC is because I realized there's something in me, like throughout the 10 years, that what I was good at is talking to people. But I didn't really know, what was it, the skill that I was missing. And it just so happens when I came back to Canada, I started seeing all these like videos and stuff from Dan Lok. I never saw this in Singapore, but I started seeing it here. And that thing about the wealth triangle, that is what really started me to get interested in this HTC, because of that high income skill. What is that high income skill? And this is what I really want to develop. And I want to take this to the next level, because I don't want to be, from the last 15 years to be what my dad is like, who's right now, even now, is not even the same. He's totally lost. And I don't want that, and I don't want my kids to see that, because I want them to have a better example moving forward, right? So this is kind of why I'm here and what I want to get out of this.
Very, very. Before you go, I want to give you just a quick coaching, okay?
Yeah.
Stop using the word interested, because interest doesn't produce results.
Okay.
Okay. Start changing the word to committed. If you say I'm interested in HTC, I'm kind of interested in learning skill, I'm interested in this, it doesn't do anything. So I want to change your vocabulary from now on to I'm committed to learning the skill. I'm committing to doing this. I'm committing to quitting my job, right? I'm committing to live my life on my own terms. There's power in the words that you use, and you got to start changing that word today.
Is like buying the gym membership. Committed is going 5 days a week. Interested is actually saying I purchased the FU Money book. Committed is reading it 5 times
and using it. Does that make sense, Alec?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Well done. Well done.
And,
all right.
And before that, I want to quickly just address a couple of things, because Alec's story I think a lot of people can relate. How many of you are here because you have seen the way, maybe from your parents, that the way that they operate? Maybe they have a business, they've worked hard their whole lives, or they have a job, or they got laid off. And you look at them, and someone that you love, the people that you look up to, your parents, your mom and dad, and you look at that, it's like, you know what? I love your mom and dad, but I don't want that life. That's not what I wanted. I don't want to walk the path that you've walked on. I want to try a different path. I love you, but that might have worked for you in the past, but it doesn't work today. Or in fact, that didn't even work that well in the past, quite frankly. And I said, it's not the way I want to live my life. How many are here because you saw that and you say there's got to be a better way?
I fully agree with that, Sifu. Kayvon's got a whole story about the parents, and even my own father, 69 years old, engineer. I watched him be at the top of his game when I was a child, and he was in his late 20s and early 30s. It's not that I'm trying to be arrogant and put down what our parents did for us. They freaking spilled blood for us to get us to where we are. But I certainly do not want to repeat what my mom and dad have done and the way they've thought that they've built wealth or security, because it's certainly they've been lied to and they've been cheated. And and it's our responsibility as the next generation to look after our parents.
And I think, what's the number one thing that kills people's dream? Do you know what's the number one thing that destroys people's dream? Fear, doubt, indecision? No. Scarcity? No. Inaction? No. Comfort? No. It's one word. Pride. Pride. Think about Alex's father. Maybe deep down he knew it didn't work. This is not working. This is not how my life wants to be. But like Alex said, it's his pride. I always ask people, do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? Pick one. Pride. Pride is what keeps people from making the right decision. Pride. That's the number one dream killer. I see it all the time. Even people come learn from me. Pride. And that's what stops them from taking action. Second thing I also want to address, the job whole thing is an illusion. You know it's an illusion. That doesn't exist. But the problem is the illusion of job security. It kills people. Like Alec mentioned, 10 years? Is that correct? 10 years. That's a long fucking time to be stuck in a job. It pays the bills. It pays the bills. Maybe you are in a situation where, the younger new members, where you just graduate, maybe before you graduate. In fact, let me ask you, how many of you are still in school, or maybe you're about to graduate from school? Just put it in, because I know we have a lot of young people joining our group. Good. And you can learn a little bit more from people who are a little bit older, who are in HTC, and you see people, they graduate, go get a job. Before you know it, get married, have a couple kids, get a mortgage. Before you know it, you're 35, you're 45, you're 55. And you look back and you say, fuck, how does time fly by so fast? How did I even get here? And this is it? This is my life? I'm stuck? I spend 20, 30, 40, 50 years of my life paying bills. That's my life. Let me write this down. Let me share something very profound with you. I want you to think about, on average, our average lifespan. Let's say our average lifespan is, hypothetically, okay, let's say it's 70 years old. 70 years old. You have until 70 years old. That's your life. 1/3 of your life is spent on sleeping. 1/3 of your life. So that's like, say, 20 some years, gone. Okay. 1/3 of your life is spent on entertainment, on also little things. Watching movies, being stuck in traffic, buying groceries, right? Hanging out with friends, wasting time, waiting for something, on a plane, traveling, whatever it might be. So that's 1/3 of your life. Entertainment, small little things in life, that's gone. Now the first 18, 20 years of your life, chances are you're living with your parents, you were living under their roof, you're learning how to go from a kid, a child, a baby, to being an adult, going to school, learning how to speak, learning how to write, learning a language, learning how to be an adult. That's 18, 20 years that you're not actually calling the shots. Chances are you cannot make your own decisions. That's 18, 20 years of your life. So if you think 1/3 sleeping, 1/3 entertainment, first 18, 20 years of your life, you're not in control, you cannot make decisions, all these things. If you think about it, you have about 5 to 7 years to make your dream come true, to live your life, to be somebody, to enjoy life, to build success. About 5 to 7 years. And that, let's take into the consideration that hopefully you don't make a lot of mistakes, because if you were like me, that I was $150,000 in debt, there's Kayvon, who's over $100K in debt, $120,000, in debt, it takes time to fucking bounce back. Just to pay off the debt so you can start from zero, then you can build something. Just like Desmond. So let's even knock on and keep your fingers crossed. If you don't make any mistake, you have about 5 to 7 years. And if that doesn't fucking give you sense of urgency, I don't know what does.
And that's if you don't get sick, you don't get a car accident, you don't get any disability, everything works out fine in the 5 to 7 years.
You have, at best, 5 to 7 years to make your FU money and achieve your fucking dreams. Brian said it perfectly. That's not a lot of time. And that's why it never ceased to amaze me. When people procrastinate, oh, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'll work on that. They live their life absolutely zero sense of urgency. I am paranoid about how much time I have. I'm always have this sense of urgency. I don't have a lot of time. I do not have a lot of time. And there's still many things I want to do. There are many people I want to impact. There are many people I want to help. I don't have a lot of time. So if that's how I operate, what the fuck should you be doing? I'm asking you. What the hell should you be doing? What kind of urgency you should have? Right? 10 years stuck in a job that you don't like is not fucking acceptable. 1 year stuck in a job that you don't like is not acceptable. You stop tolerating this shit. You get in life what you tolerate. You tolerate, yeah, I know I don't like what I do. I don't like getting stuck in traffic, but oh man, I just kind of got to pay the bills. Before you know, you keep tolerating this shit. Before you know it, you're 65 years old. Devon?
You just said, even 1 year in a job that you don't like is intolerable. And I said, shit, like, even then, I mean, that's the one thing personally that I saw was my dad working in the factory, my mom slaving away for eight fucking dollars an hour, trying to put food on the table, and then having that negative energy from my dad, go get a job, son, go work in a factory, make sure you get a pension. What the fuck is that kind of mentality? It's so backwards. And I get really passionate about it because I let it haunt me and hold me back for so many years. And the one thing I can tell you is it doesn't matter how old you are, where you are, it is a decision. You are a decision away of putting yourself on a new path to victory, to success. It's a decision. Dan cannot do it. As amazing as Dan is, he cannot make that decision for you. We can pave the road and we can make it as beautiful and as easy as possible, but you have to make that decision. And if you're stuck in a job right now, or if you're in a place that you hate, get out. Don't spend your present time with anybody, anything, or any thought you don't have a future with. Just start today, right now. Make that promise to yourself that everything you do, every thought you have, every place you go, you're going to ask the question, do I want this in my future? Is these the people I want to hang out with in the future? Is this the job that I want in the future? Is this a thought that is going to serve me in the future? The answer is no. Fuck it. Get rid of it right away.
I'm not just talking about if you have a job or how much money you make. Let me tell you, I know a lot of successful people who also have a lot of shit that they have to tolerate. I'm talking about people making millions and millions and millions of dollars. Right? I talk to them, I can see, well, there's a lot of shit. Like, every time I talk to them, they could be complaining about, oh my God, my employees, or this, or that, and there's or they have a vendor relationship with some big company or this and that. They are not that fucking happy. That there are a lot of shit that they have to tolerate. And every time they talk to me, say, Dan, how do you do it? How do you do this? how do you, and he's, how do you live a life of FU money? I mean, we know you make a lot of money, but man, it's not just how much money you make. It's just the way you make your money is so different. That you don't have things. I can see that you're in control and your freedom. You can go wherever you want. That you don't need to kiss anyone's ass, and you just live life. And then you don't have things in your life that you have to tolerate. You don't have people in your life that you have to tolerate. I see people that in your life you have to tolerate. They are not in your life for long. How do you do it? How do you do it? And I'm grateful. Very grateful. I'm at a stage of my life. Really, I don't have things in life or people in my life that I have to tolerate. If I have to tolerate, they're not in my life. Believe me.
Believe him.
Believe me.
Believe him.
Right?
He doesn't tolerate shit. I mean shit at all. Like one of our clients could be worth billions of dollars and can help us make ourselves billions of dollars. If they are hard to work with, if they just bring us pain and misery, Dan will cut them. You know, it's funny, Dan, because I just had this epiphany in my head, just as listening to you, is you basically choose every single moment of every aspect of your life of what you want it to be.
Yep.
You choose it.
Yep. Actually, I want to add one note here. Now, we did go off and actually say, about the jobs and stuff like that. I do know several HTC members, just for the record here, that actually are top professionals in their profession. Okay, be it a medical profession, be it a legal profession, a consulting profession. We are not putting down jobs, but the message here that you need to take away is the control, right? You can have, if you can architect, if you can, be like Sifu and Dan here and create that control and be absolutely happy at what you do, all the power to you. We're here to support you.
That's it.
The bulk of it is most of you are not.
That's why you don't need to tolerate. You don't need to tolerate. Truly, like I know, I'm a living proof that you can live your life the way, just like the title of my book, Have Your Money. Live your life on your own terms. Live the life you damn well want, and you live the way you damn well please. It is. Make as much money you damn well want, and live your life as you damn well please, because you only got one life. One. And life is short. If you ever had family members passed away, just like when my dad passed away, right? My mother-in-law recently passed away because of cancer. Life is short. It's very, very short. And chances are sometimes when you realize it is short, it's too late. It's too late. That's why don't make that mistake. Live the life that you want. Take some fucking risk. Step out of your comfort zone. It's fine. You're not gonna die. Doing what you love, taking that risk, developing that new skill, creating that job, starting a new business, whatever it might be, you're not gonna die. Trust me. In debt, not gonna kill you. Didn't kill me. Didn't kill Kayvon. Didn't kill Desmond. I'm standing in front of you, all three guys. We could do this. Let's do one more.
All right. So I promised Dylan Kruger, that he'd be the next one here. So Dylan Kruger from South Africa, you are now.
Wow, Dylan, thanks for waiting.
Dylan, are you there, Dylan? I saw you in the chat. You're unmuted.
Come on, Dylan.
Now,
Dylan.
Is Dylan there? Nope.
No.
Dylan. That's okay, Dylan. So I want to bring out a female because our HTC family is very powerful with the female closers. And that is where the new competition is at. The female closers are the ones that represent really well right now. So I'm going to bring out from Attica, Attica, it's Lewin. If I did not butcher your name there, it's please correct me if I'm wrong, but you are now unmuted. It's Llewellyn Brooke from Attica. Go ahead. Ooh, 2 for 2. want to get some female representation here. All right, so Liulin, I'm going to have to mute you again. And we're going to move on here. The next person we're going to bring out here is Ilona Powell from Amsterdam. Ilona Powell, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hello.
Okay, third time's a charm.
Hi. Wow, so great to speak with everyone, really. Okay, I'm going to be very short on this, why I come to join the HTC. Of course, my God's blessing was that my husband joined first, so I have an open gate. But this is not, I'm not trying to kind of profit from this and go easy. Actually, I'm going more harder than if I would have to join on my own. I'm a very hard-working person. I work hard. I was raised in a village, in a poor village, and I know how important it is to work hard. But I realized that working hard wasn't enough. So I did broke some rules as well. In my village, it's very traditional. Young ladies should not leave the family. But actually, I left my family on age 19 because I wasn't really satisfied on what my parents tried to teach me through like traditional, conventional, right? Pushing you to do what they did for 80 years. And still we were eating that little piece of bread and just get satisfied. I said, no, but this is not enough. I mean, I'm not trying to get the little piece. I need to get what really I need to get. So I moved, and I moved I was very sure for what I moved. Many people really could see me with negative eye. What did I do? I left my family. But I said I was very right. And when I did it, and when they see what I do, they say, well, I wish I was there, but it's too late, so you have to move. When is the right time? When is the moment, right? So yeah, I can say that this is one reason why I want to join the HTC. I'm already an empty cup. I never worked with business. I was a dedicated, somehow like a volunteer person, missionary. I really loved it, but now I have to move to my financial aspect, and that's a good thing. So after, I can say like, this is what I really want to do. I never went to university actually for learning how to make money. I didn't have that chance because I was busy as well with some other things.
Yes.
So this is why I so much appreciate HTC. It's my university. It's my one and only one chance I can really put everything of my pieces into the right place. So yeah, I can say I have three fathers in my life. One is my physical father who gave me my life, and second is my spiritual father who told me about life, purpose of life, which is kind of missionary aspect, right? And my third father is Dan, who teach me about money and the material aspect, right? We cannot only live in the spirit aspect. No, it's enough. So now I have to move on my physical aspect and really like I can be able to substantially help people whom I wanted to help for a long time. I actually have a very big pain in my life. Just because I couldn't have enough money, I could not really be with people I wanted, especially my old father who just passed away. I have that big pain, but of course I cannot bring him back, right? So now I have to learn and get everything so I can help people whom I'm living right now. Yeah.
And we are very happy to have you. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And also, how many of you can put in the chat box, how many can relate to the story? Beautiful. And also, I want to address something, it's a good lesson as well, that spirituality and materialistic things, they could coexist. Just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you cannot be spiritual. I'm actually way more spiritual just because I'm in a red suit and I drive a Bentley. People think, oh yeah, you must not be spiritual, you're all about materialistic. No, let me tell you something. You can be spiritual and you can be very, very rich. Spiritual doesn't equal poverty. Spiritual doesn't mean you sit up in the mountain and you meditate and you're broke and you can't have enough money to eat. That does not make you spiritual. Spiritual is a way of life. Do you think when people learn about me and they actually learn what I do, and they always say, well, you have a very spiritual philosophy about the way you run business, about the way I live my life, my morning ritual. Yeah, but I'm not like spiritual like people. Oh yeah, I'll just, to just struggle and not be able to make money. I shouldn't make money. I should always be broke, and that's just the way it is. And well, because if I'm rich, then I must not be spiritual. So I just struggle. Fuck that shit.
Dan, can I speak on this, Dan?
Yeah. And by the way, just because I use profanity, it doesn't mean I'm not spiritual. Don't project your value on me. Just like, don't project your value on me. People say, oh, you use profanity, you use swearing words. You must not be spiritual. Says who? Who came with that rule? Who came up with that? It's your own value, nothing more. Desmond?
Yeah. Okay. So speaking about spirituality, for those out there, I'm gonna connect with you on a higher level and a higher dimension here. Sifu is, let's just put it this way, almost like a download, like an alien. Okay, that's the real spirituality. Because I've seen the kumbaya broke in the room because I was doing that, and then I've seen the different type of spirituality, the martial art, the Zen, the full circle, let me just put it that way, and how he's at peace with what he does, forgiveness, and even with, as he mentioned earlier on, mother-in-law passing away, the high EQ. I always joke, I always just say, the more you get to know Dan, the more you might think he's actually like an alien. He's not from this planet, for some reason, and he's just very grounded and very connected. I think that is, I did Kyudo in Japan, which is a Japanese art of archery, and it's very much the act of Zen, and the more you think you know, the less you know. And being around Dan is like that. If you ever have a chance, being on these calls, if you ever get to meet Dan in person, okay, I would jump at that opportunity, because just being around him, you get to feel what it's like to be in that presence of spirituality.
And spirituality is not something you talk about. It's a way of life. It's a way of living. A lot of people talk about, oh, I'm very spiritual, I'm religious, I'm all this and that. It's all talk. It's all talk.
It's totally spiritual. Real, truly spiritual people don't talk about being spiritual. They just are. They become. They be. Just like wealthy people, the true wealthy people, they don't talk about their money. They just fucking go to work. They just make more money.
And that's why don't think of, oh, I make a lot of money, I'm not spiritual. I'm spiritual, I cannot make a lot of money. No, you could do both. You absolutely can do both. In fact, you can do both very, very, very well. Because the more spiritual you get, the less attachment that you have. You're more in control of your emotion. It makes you more effective in business. And it attracts more abundance and opportunities and wealth into your life. And things just flow. It makes you a better business person. It's easier to make money when you're spiritual. If you're truly, not the fake spiritual, if you're truly spiritual, you understand the spirit of it, and you have the abundant mindset. It'll make you better, not the other way around. But people think of, oh yeah, I have to do that. I have to do this way. It's just like, volunteer is great. How many of you, let me ask you this, you want to make money, now be honest with me, put in chat box, you want to make more money because you want to help other people. You want to be able to help people. That's what drives you. Put in the chat box. So knowing whatever that money you're working on, you have right now, you're making right now. So my question for you is, if let's say you were to make 3 times more money, can you help 3 times more people, or just more people? Yes or no? And if you make 3 times more money, don't bullshit me, are you willing to help more people? Now, then imagine this. What if you make 10 times more money than what you're making now? I want you to picture that in your mind. How many more people can you help? So much more. So much more. And that's why this is my belief, and I want to instill this belief into your mind. Once you learn how to make money, once you learn how to create wealth, write this down, this is important. Once you learn how to create wealth, you are morally obligated to make as much money as you can. I'll say it again, once you learn how to create wealth, you're morally obligated to make as much money as you can, so you can help as many people as you want. Because you cannot give coming from a place of scarcity. How can you give? How can you help a lot of people when you can't pay the fucking bills? When you don't have a roof over your head? When you worry about how you're going to make the next mortgage or rent payment? When you're worried about taking care of your kids? Even you want to help, you can't even pay attention. You can't focus. You got to go to work, got to pay the bills, got to earn the money, got to get the paycheck. So how many people can you help? When you have more money, it buys you time. And money, what it does, it's money if you are smart. You can utilize money to extend the good that you do beyond your physical presence. I'll say that again, so that you get this. What money does, it allows you to do, is to extend the good that you do beyond your physical presence. Are you getting this? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you can't give coming from a place of scarcity. You could only give coming from a place of abundance. You can only give coming from a place of abundance. So, what started out as one closer, Kayvon, what we do, and what started out as just the first group of graduates, now we're in batch 3, turned into a truly global movement, and we are growing so fast. In fact, let me ask you this: put in the chat box maybe where you're from. Just put in the chat box the country you're from, that you're dialing from. Calgary, Germany, Vancouver, UK, Singapore, Canada, South Africa, USA, Finland, Calgary, Australia, Kelowna, US, Canada, UK, New York,
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Winnipeg, Quebec, Montreal, Indonesia, Edmonton, California, Vancouver, Arizona. You have students from all over the world, from Asia, from Europe, from Japan, from Singapore, from Malaysia, from Hong Kong, from China, from, of course, US and Canada, and UK, Australia, France. What turned from one closer, Kayvon, to, Kayvon, I think you have probably experienced this deeply about how this whole thing from one person, kind of like a candle, right? You light another person, and you light another candle, and you light another candle, and turn it into a movement.
Well, we talk about it, how powerful it is, and it really, from when me and Dan started to what our idea was, we thought maybe we could help 20 people. I said, Dan, maybe there's 20 people out there that we can show this to, and that 20 turned into 40, turned into a global movement, and to see that unfold And to realize that what we are and who we are and what Dan is, it's so much more than just becoming a closer. This is a family. This is a movement, but it's also helping people impact their lives and the people's lives around them in every aspect of their life. Because the skills we're going to teach you is going to allow you to do that. The mindset you will develop if you allow yourself to will better the relationships you have in your life.
And we all connected, even though from all over the world, with really one mission and one group and one culture. If you think about it, it's I'm still amazed. Even as the Sifu, I'm amazed by what we have, not even what we've created, what we are just at the tip, in the beginning of what the movement. I think fast forward in 1 year or 2 years, and there's some things that we are working on, and I think that would blow you away. I can't reveal what it is yet, but it's big. It's very, very big, and you'll see that as that gets unfold in the upcoming months. So I want to talk a little bit about how I kind of discovered, you could say, stumbled into the amazing world of high ticket sales, because you should know, as you're learning this from me, where does this stuff come from, right? Kind of where's the origin of this skill? So at the time, if you don't know my story, I was starting and having all these crazy businesses and trying different things, and just kind of like Kayvon, I had the shiny object syndrome. How many have the shiny object syndrome, right? I was jumping from one thing to another and desperate, looking for a way to be successful so that I could provide for my mom. And I was trying all kinds of ideas, and I tried vending machines, I tried to fix computers for people, and I tried network marketing, and I tried all kinds of shit, and none of them really worked. And I started and failed at 13 businesses before having my first success, right? 13 businesses before having my first success. And it is just crazy, absolutely insane. And at the time, I was just struggling. I was looking for answers, and I was looking for a way, an outlet, a path, and I was confused until I found my first mentor. And his name is Alan. And when I found my mentor, and it was just someone that I could look up to, someone I could learn from, someone that I just aspired to be. And Alan took me under his wings. I worked for him for next to nothing for 1 year. And he taught me business. He taught me marketing. He taught me how business works. And he gave me my very first high income skill, that is copywriting. And in case you don't know what copywriting is putting words on a piece of paper, right? Putting words on a piece of paper, and you write. I was writing copy for companies and entrepreneurs, and helping them with the businesses, their sales literatures, their sales letters. And so, and I was doing that, and I was charging probably, I think, $1,000 for a project, and it was good. I was a young guy, probably even 20, 21 years old. I was making $1,000 per project, and was starting to get clients and writing for these entrepreneurs and even speakers, well-known speakers. And after about probably 5-6 months of doing that, I was talking with my mentor, Alan, and Alan was asking me, well, how are you doing? I said, I'm good. I'm working with these clients. I'm getting quite busy, but it's good. Like, I'm making at least some money. It's good. This is kind of my first taste of success, and that's fine. And then with Alan, he's always challenging me and making me to be better. He said, you know what, Dan, you should increase your price. And I said, okay, so, like, what do you mean? And I said, no, you should bump up your price, whatever you're charging. And I said, okay, so how much should I increase it to? Like, I'm charging $1,000 right now. Okay, that's what you're charging? Yeah. So should I increase like 10%, maybe like $1,100, something like that? He said, no. Okay, so what are you thinking? Double it. I said, what? Like double it? Like $2,000? Yes, $2,000. I said, no, I can't I can't double my price. I would lose all my clients. I would not be able to pay the bills. I would struggle. No. It was all this fear kicked in. He said, no, I cannot do that. I said, no, just listen to me. Do it. Bump up your price, $2,000. And here's what I want you to do, Dan. I want you to go back. I want you to practice in front of the mirror. I want you to practice in front of the mirror. I said, okay, all right, cool. And I did, and I practiced the $2,000. I was so nervous. I was so scared. But I practiced in front of the mirror because I'm coachable. That's one thing about me. I'm always very, very coachable. I said, okay. Alan asked me to do it. My mentor asked me to do it. I'm going to do it. In spite that I felt it's the wrong thing to do, in spite of how uncomfortable it was, I did it. So I was talking to the client, and the funny thing is, next client, when I quoted them the price of $2,000, it didn't take me more time, it didn't take me more effort to sell something at $2,000 versus at $1,000. And the work is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. So I was like, that's good. That's interesting. And then after a few months later, I was talking to Alan again, and he said, Dan, how's your business? I said, it's pretty good. Now I'm getting busy and all that, and I think it's pretty good. Well, you should increase your price again. I said, what? No. You don't understand. Right? I've been doing this less than a year. Nobody doubled the price like in that quickly. In that short period of time, nobody does this, and I'm so young, and I don't have enough experience, and I'm a young guy. No one would pay me that. And he said, just do it. Just do it. I said, all right, I'll give it a try. I don't think it's gonna work. No one's gonna pay me that, but I'm gonna kind of prove you wrong. But I said, you asked me to do it, I'll do it. And I practiced again in front of the mirror. And I started asking for $4,000 for what I do. And boom, and I started closing at $4,000 instead of $1,000. Now, let me ask you a question. Has my core service changed? No, nothing has changed. I'm still the same thing. I'm delivering the same service. But because I had the guts to ask for more money, suddenly I was making 4 times more money. And I thought, this is amazing. How could this be? It cannot be, right? And then after a few months later, I went to talk to Alan again. And Alan, this time, he looked at me, just didn't say anything. He just smiled. He said, mm-hmm. I said, what? He said, I said, no. He said, yes. I said, no. He said, yes. It's that time again. I said, no. Seriously? I'm already charging $4,000. Most people would spend at least 5 to 10 years building their track record as a copywriter before they would charge this kind of money. No way in hell. What do you want me to do? You want me to bump it up to $8,000? Yes, exactly, $8,000. Actually, you know what? Fuck that, $10,000. I'm like, you are crazy. You are fucking nuts. Alan, I love you, but no. Who would pay $10,000 to a fucking Chinese kid, teenager, at some 20-some-odd years old? No way in hell. No way in hell. Just practice. I don't even know 10,000. How many zeros is that? It's such a foreign concept to me. It's a practice in front of the mirror. Okay, fine. I practice in front of the mirror. And it was so difficult. I would stutter. I would get so nervous. It's like $10,000, and it was such a difficult thing to do. Just ask for more money. It was so difficult for me. But I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. I remember, and there was a phone call. It was through a referral from a client that I had worked with in the past. A person calls me up, an entrepreneur. He said he wants to hire me for a job. And I said, okay. And I've been practicing, remember, 10K. And said, well, so how much do you charge, Dan? And I said, $10,000. And he was like, okay, that you can hear his breathing. I said, oh, that's actually more than what I heard that you charge. Because I think my friend told me that he paid like $4,000 or something like that. And I said, well, that's the old rate. And plus, your project, it requires a lot more of my time. So it's $10,000. And he said, well, that might be a challenge because that's outside of a budget. We've really only budget about like $5,000 for this. We really weren't thinking about spending $10,000. In my mind, I'm like, oh fuck, I blew the deal. I shouldn't have listened. I should have just asked for like $4,000. I would have gotten the sale. That's all this chatter in my head, right? But I didn't say anything. But I know, I'm like, oh fuck, I blew the deal. Damn it. And he was like, maybe let me talk to my partner and get back to you. And I thought, you know what? That's just an excuse. That's probably an objection more than anything else. He's not going to call me back. And then he called me back. About less than an hour. He said, Dan, I talked with my partner. It's actually outside of budget. You charge more than what we thought. But you come highly recommended. So could you do like half down, 5,000 down, and then 5,000 when it's completed? Now, at that time, I just shut my mouth. I just shut my mouth. And I was like, yep, that's exactly what we do. Half down and half when it's completed. I try not to laugh because it was such a roller coaster experience. And that was my first $10,000 client. And from that experience, I learned something very, very important. It changed the way I look at business, pricing, everything that I do. And that is this. It doesn't take more effort to sell something at 2 times, 5 times, or even 10 times the price. In some cases, it takes less effort.
Hey, Dan?
Yes.
Before you even go any further here, I really need to say that I apologize to you, Dan, for the lack of disrespect that is happening right now in our chat group. I've never in my life have seen so much disrespect towards you right now. If you're coming in to this fucking chat right now and acting like Russ Ruffino, Donald Trump, Sam Ovens, we're going to find you and we're going to ban you. You are being disrespectful to Dan and everyone else who is here to learn. If this is not for you, get the fuck out right now. We don't need you. We don't want you. Get out. This is for fucking winners and people that want to go places and that people that want to make some fucking money and change their lives, not dick around. I'm very sorry, Dan, for that, for the disrespect. It's absolutely crazy that this is going on. And I did not want you to teach any more gold until these people are gone.
And I'm curious, why do you behave like this way?
It's always the ones that they think they're being a bunch of jokers. Here we are. I've never seen this either, Dan. I mean, Kayvon, I've never seen Kayvon get so angry and so, so passionate like this. Usually it's myself that's dropping the hammer here, but I'm absolutely flabbergasted at how people, class clowns here. Like, what the fuck?
It's interesting. I just find it interesting. I'm not mad. It's just interesting how someone has to put on a mask and use a fake name and being a clown, and they want to make a lot of money and be successful. I feel sorry for the guy. I actually feel sorry for the guy. He's probably been doing that his whole life. masking himself, hiding behind the name, instead of showing his true self. Interesting. Let me keep going. So at the time, think about my income. I was doing the same amount of work. I was doing the same thing. I was doing all these things. I was serving clients. I was working with clients. Dollars within like a year-ish time. I was now making, instead of $1,000, I was making $10,000 working with clients. I was being able to pay off my bills. Because at the time I was struggling. I was working hard. But now doing the same amount of work, now I'm making some money. I'm able to provide for my mom, and I'm able to pay off some debt. Because at the time, remember all those 13 business failures I accumulated about $150,000 in debt through credit card debts and also borrowing from friends and family. Right? In fact, let me ask you this question: how many of you are in debt right now? Now, you don't have to reveal how much. You don't have to reveal how much. I just want I want to ask you this question. So whatever debt that you have, okay, maybe it could be credit card, could be student loan, could be whatever it is. Think about how long would it take for you to pay off your debt with your existing income? Assuming you don't increase your income at all. How long would it take for you to pay off your debt? Aaron said 5 years, too long. Kevin said 30 years. Joey said 30 years. James said 12.5 years.
25 years.
8 years,
20,
35, 20 years, 10 years, and 5 years. It's a long fucking time. It is a long fucking time. And that's another lesson that I've learned, that people talk about, to pay off your debt, just don't drink that coffee in the morning. Don't try to get a more economical automobile, or you go line up to get gas when the gas prices are cheap. How many of you do that? To be honest.
Dan, my parents were so cheap. I never told this story before.
Yes.
Because I lived in a bordering city, so bordering Canada, U.S. My parents on Friday nights would drive over to the United States, buy the milk, and gas up, and then drive back through the border just to save a couple pennies, not realizing that the money they're probably spending driving there and back is not even worth it.
And that's why most people, they step over dollars to pick up pennies. They don't value their time. They don't value their time. That's why most people actually save their way to bankruptcy. And you notice, by the way, people who are cheap, you can look at their face, no joke. You can see their faces all like scrunch up and like they are not happy. They're counting their penny, right? You can see they're like kind of frowning and not smiling and like that. That's what they look like. That's not the way to live life. And here's the thing. I knew I couldn't pay off my $150,000 debt making a couple grand a month. I could barely pay the bills. So that is not the answer. So if you have debt and you know with your current income, it will take you 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years to pay that off. Let me ask you a question then. How good would it feel if you could pay off that debt? Describe for me. Put in the chat box. How would it make you feel if you could pay off that debt? Just you don't have that cloud above your head. You don't have the debt on your shoulders. Free. Whew! Great and free. Freedom, liberating, unimaginable. Weight off my shoulders. Feel like it won the lottery, Chris said. Freedom, yes. Since David said sensational, stress-free, yeah. And here's what I found, that you don't solve your debt problems by saving. You cannot save your way there. If it takes you 2, 3, 5, 10 years, saving that $10, $20, $30, $50 doesn't make a fucking difference. It's not going to solve your debt problems. You solve your debt problems by increasing your income. It's a very different focus. Do you get this? It's a very different focus to, oh man, I gotta save money, gotta drive, so many hours and get some cheap gas, or line up when everybody's lined up to get gas, or try to save some money on groceries, a couple penny here, a couple dollars there. How is that gonna pay off your tens of thousands of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt? You solve your debt problem by increasing income. Here's what happened to me. I developed my very first high income skill. Now, if you watch my YouTube video on high income skills, I talked about copywriting. So I was making $10,000 a month as a copywriter. You with me, right? As a young guy. And then later on, when I was writing copy for clients, they were asking me about marketing. They were asking me about, well, okay, Dan, you wrote these marketing pieces for us. How do we use this? What do we need to do? I said, well, you should do this and this and then this. Before you knew it, I just developed another high-income skill as a consultant. So not only I was doing the work for clients, I was also consulting them and helping them to implement some of these strategies. And I was developing another income, then maybe another $10,000 a month. So I was making $20,000 a month, almost close to $250,000 a year. Let me tell you something. It's way easier to pay off the debt. Instead of making $2,000, $3,000 a month, I was making $20,000 a month. Does this make sense? Is it making sense to you? That's how I pay off the debt. And as I was paying off the debt, here's what happens psychologically. I was paying it off $2,000, $3,000 here, $5,000 here. I was just paying that off, and I kept my expenses the same. I didn't increase my expense. I was living still decent, reasonably okay. Wasn't blowing money and things like that. And as I paid it off, it created this momentum. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I paid it off at $1,000 here, $2,000 there, $5,000 there. And when I pay off that debt, my goodness, something changed. Something changed within me. Suddenly, because what I thought is unattainable, what I thought is normal, everybody has debt, is the way supposed to live. You're supposed to have a lot of debt. Not true. When I paid off that debt, it gave me so much confidence as a person. It gave me so much certainty. You know what? What I thought is unattainable, I did it. I paid off the debt. It is a statement. It's an action. It's something that I can say to myself, you know what? Fuck, I could do this. And if I can do this, what else can I do? Kayvon, same thing, was in debt, right? Yeah. Pay off the debt. Desmond was in debt. It took him years to pay off the debt. Now, you guys share. Before, after, how did that make you feel?
Desmond, you want to go?
I've been in debt for so long.
How many years?
Fuck. 16 years old till 40.
You're 16 years old till 40-year-old as a man, as a father.
I just got out of debt this year. 100% out of debt because of Dan. For the first time in my life. I claimed it. I thought I claimed it, a couple of years ago. I was saying, oh, I'm out of debt. No, it was all fucking bullshit. I was lying to myself. I still had credit cards. I still owed $8,000 here. It was only in December of 2017, I wrote Dan an email. And Dan actually asked me, and I said, I've got another $18,000 to go. When you actually start to dig deep, guys, don't kid yourself. Don't lie to yourself and tell yourself you're out of debt, because you're not. But now I'm out of debt. I'm out of debt. I've got an abundance of money where I can treat team members, and of course you don't go splurge your money that way and go crazy, but I'm able to give. I was at Easter Mass the other day, and everyone was putting in $5 here at a Catholic church, right? I dropped a $100 bill. I didn't even blink an eye. My mom saw that and she was like, "Oh my God, you gave that." I'm like, it's like nothing. I felt embarrassed to give $100.
That's beautiful. That the way you can adjust the money, where, before $5 was hard to give.
How about Kayvon? You've also been in debt.
I was, yeah. I mean, I've been in debt my entire life. I mean, I've literally been in debt my entire life, because I lived in debt with my parents, and I mean, by the time I was 15 years old, my parents had mortgaged the house 3 times. Now, they did that to let me go ski racing, but they had to mortgage the house 3 times, and then the year later they had to pull it away from me because they couldn't afford it. And my entire life, my mindset was in debt. My bank account was in debt. My relationships were in debt. And this year, like Desmond, is the first time in my life I paid off my school debt. I paid off everything. But I'll go one step a little deeper here. Even though my bank accounts were cleaned up, I was still operating like I was in debt. So I was started to push things away. And it wasn't again until Dan just simply said, Kayvon, you're not in debt anymore. You're not surviving. Why are you acting like this? And it was a wake-up call to me, because even though my bank account cleaned up, I was, for so many years, I was acting in that survival mode. Like I always had to like literally fight for food, fight to keep whatever we had. I couldn't really give it away. I was, I was never really cheap, but the way I looked at money and the way I looked at how money was saved, I was very cheap in my mindset. And that came from my parents, the upbringing, all of that. And I'll tell you, the fancy cars, that's great. Like the nice condo, that's great. But for me, if you said what was one of the most powerful things for me because of this money, is the ability that I just did was to fly I've been away from my parents for quite some time. They've never came and visited me because they can't afford it. I've now got them 2 first-class tickets, which they have never sat in their life, to fly out to visit me. Not only that, I got them a black car service to pick them up, which they've never received in their life, and they're going to fly first class right from the moment they leave their house till the moment they get to me. That is the most powerful thing, I think, when you can do things like that for the people that work so hard for you. Those are my goals, and it's amazing. But I'll tell you, it doesn't stop now. You don't rest it's just like sales. You're only as good as your last sale. I'm only as good as my last paycheck or my last commission check. Every day I ask the question, how can I be better? How can I be great? How can I do more? Just like Dan said, if you have the ability to do more and you don't, that is the biggest disservice you can do to yourself, to your community, to your families, to everybody. It is your moral obligation. It is now my moral obligation to continue to be the best closer I am, to continue to be the best business person I am, because that is what Dan has given me. He's given me those tools. He's given me that mindset, and I cannot let him down. Now, I have to say this, Dan, one last thing here. I do want to apologize. Kelsey, my significant other, came flying in the room and was like looking at me like I was a crazy man when I was screaming earlier. The reason why I was a little screaming, or she used the word I was aggressive, is it wasn't aggression, it was passion. I am so damn passionate about what we're teaching, what we're going to show you. I am so passionate about you, about the ones that are here, that invested their time, their money, and their energy, and I am passionate about Dan. So I want to apologize if someone felt that was aggressive, but that was passion, because I want everyone to get the best and the most out of every time we're on the phone.
And for Kayvon to do that, like flying first class, the parents, and just providing that the life that they've never had, they've never sat in the first class before. How many of you would like to do that for the people that you love in your life? Put in a chat box. And I want that for you.
And I want that for you.
I want that for you, because I know the feeling when you could do that for people that you love. And that's what gives you the motivation. And that's what drives you. I think that's what drives a lot of us, right? Because there's the point where, yeah, like Kayvon said, yeah, you have the condo, you have a nice car, all of that, But then really, for a lot of us, we do things for the people that we love, right? We create success or create wealth for the people that we love and we care about. Okay, write this down. 97%, 3%. 97%, 3%. 97% of the population are dead or dead broke by the age of 65. Only 3% succeed financially. Only 3% succeed financially. The odd is against you. The odd is not good. Less than 6% of the population makes over $100,000 a year. Look at the people around you. Look at the people in your life. Less than 1% of the population makes over $325,000 a year. Less than 1%. Just think about it. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean to you? So thinking about how the world outside the HTC, the way that most people operate, the way that most people do, the way that most people live their lives, you cannot afford to hang out with 97%. Unfortunately, you cannot afford to think the way that they think. You cannot afford to operate the way they operate. And that's one thing I've learned about in business. If you're not sure what to do, just look at what everyone is doing and just do the opposite. Chances are you will do quite well. Just look at exactly what everyone else is. If everyone is driving an hour to try to save a few pennies on gas, if they're trying to fight and try to line up and try to do all this shit, chances are don't do that shit. You'll be good. Look at what everyone else is doing and just do the opposite. Here's a great lesson that I've learned from my martial art instructor. As you know, a lot of you know that I'm a martial artist. In fact, how many of you are also in martial art? You're martial artists. You practice some sort of martial art. Put in the chat box. Krav Maga, BJJ, good. Fencing, oh, interesting. Muay Thai, all right. Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Wushu, Tai Chi, awesome. So you guys will appreciate this. And Charlie fought, nice, very nice. And I learned this from my martial art sifu. He said, Dan, the biggest determining factor for your accomplishment as a martial artist is not how many hours you train or how hard you train, it's who trains you. And when I first learned that lesson, it had such a profound impact in my life. Now, because my martial arts sifu, his name's Adam, one of my martial arts sifu. And at the time, we're talking many years ago, he wanted to learn the Filipino martial art, knife fighting, right? And he found one of the best, if not the number one, knife fighters, Filipino martial art instructor in the world. His name is Sonny. And finally, he got a chance to could take lessons from Sonny. Unfortunately, just before he could learn from him, Sonny passed away. He never got a chance to learn from him. And I was talking with my sifu. I said, well, sifu, then why don't you learn from other people? There are other martial art, Filipino martial art instructors out there. And he said to me, and it's something that always stuck with me. He said, if I cannot learn from the best, why bother? He said, at best, I would learn a little bit, but I would never get to where I think my skill could be. At worst, I would learn from a bunch of people, and they teach me the wrong shit. It will actually make me worse as a martial artist. And always that lesson stuck with me. It's not just how many hours you train or how hard you train, it's who trains you. It's who you learn from. Both Kayvon and both Desmond have learned from a lot of different people before they come to me. And somehow I have a lot of students. Usually they learn from a lot of different people, and then they come to me. Kind of as a last resort. I don't know why, but somehow I do attract a lot of those students. that they have and then when they find me, they stay. They don't leave. I mean, Kayvon, you can also comment on this. Desmond, comment on this.
Yeah, I mean, I've had many business mentors. Some showed me a little bit of good things. None. Obviously, none at the level of Dan, or I wouldn't be here. You know, it's quite evident. Just look at the results. I've had a lot of, I would say they're not fake mentors, but mentors that they call themselves mentors, and they made me believe that they were going to be my mentor, and they just took my money. I mean, I've been burned. Again, that was part of my learning in my $130,000 debt, and it was completely different with Dan. And what I've seen working with Dan too is he is right. Like most people, Dan says there's a quote he always says, and it's true. Is if they can't make it with me, they're not going to probably make it anywhere else. And it's the truth, because Dan, as a Ruby, so as competitive as he is, and as much as he wants to, be number one, he also has a big heart, and he is patient, and he will work with someone who has potential, and it's beautiful. It's very honor. I'm very honored to be part of this and to be here, and to be able to call Dan. He's not just my mentor. He's family to me. He's like a big brother I never had, and it's beautiful.
Thank you. Desmond?
I can't top that. I think Kayvon took every single word out of my mouth in a very eloquent way. He summed it up. I have had the pleasure of having several mentors. I'm grateful to every single one of them along the way, but none of them come even close. So for those out there who like to be, numerical, if I was to put some of those mentors on a scale, I would have, said at that time in my life they were very important. But compared to Dan, maybe they're a 3 or 4. Dan, I don't even think a 10 does him justice. The fact that, like Kayvon said, I treat him like a family member. I treat him like a brother. I treat him like a father. He's younger than I am, on this like age thing that we call age. But since the first time I saw Dan, I always felt he was older than me, maturity-wise, and just the way he sees things. And then to go even deeper, and I don't think any of the mentors I've ever had in my life cared enough about me to invest so much time and money and patience to craft up something that worked for me in the way I could understand it. So yeah, it's very funny that Dan always gets the people that have been through everyone else, and that he's the last resort. But I think it also says that that's when people finally appreciate what a good mentor is, and all the bullshit's gone and all the other fake charlatans are gone.
And you can see for the new members, you can see that a lot of them, like Desmond and Kayvon and a lot of the HTC graduates, they all call me Sifu. And it's a Chinese term, right? In Japanese, we call it sensei, and Sifu, it's a very martial art term. And it just somehow, and I don't take that lightly. That when I accept the responsibility, and to me, the word Sifu is actually much more powerful than the word just mentor. And I think you see the HTC graduates that they call me Sifu, not because I'm financially successful. Hopefully it's because I've impacted their lives in a positive way, right? HTC grad? I think it's because of that it is a respect that I cherish. That and for you, for the new students, I would tell you that don't call me Sifu unless you mean it. You can call me Dan, it's perfectly fine, right? If you're gonna call me Sifu, I take that very seriously. I hope you take that very seriously, because in Chinese, Sifu, it's actually a word. It means a teacher for a day, a teacher for a lifetime. That's actually what it means. So I don't take that lightly, and please don't call me unless you absolutely mean it. Maybe it's after 2 weeks, after 7 weeks, after whatever, how many days. But yeah, don't call me one unless you mean it. One day or day one, your choice. One day or day one, your choice. And here's the most important thing that I've learned from my seafood, my first mentor, Alan, because, and this lays the very foundation, talking about the mindset. This is the theme for the rest of the 7 weeks, actually probably for the rest of your life. Now, how I found Alan at the time was, I was getting involved with all these businesses and all these different things, and I was attending all these seminars. And I was started getting a lot of these junk mails in my mailbox. And I would collect them, and I always see these invitations, these letters, these sales letters, quote unquote, from a gentleman. His name's Alan Jacks. And I thought, wow, he wrote the most amazing marketing pieces and the story and everything. I was just fascinated by it, and I was always three-hole punch them and put them in a nice binder, and I would collect them. And one time I got the invitation. I went to the workshop. I attended the workshop. It was a free workshop. I thought no harm. And I was sitting in the very back of the room, and the speaker was speaking at the front. I looked over to my right side. I saw the name tag, Alan Jacks. And I looked to the speaker and looked at the name tag again. And I kind of looked back to the speaker, looked at the name tag again. And I said to myself, no way, it cannot be. I said, are you Mr. Alan Jacks? He looked at me and said, yeah, I am. I said, oh my God. I said, I love what you do. I love, your work. And he thought I was referring to the event, because at the time he was running one of the most successful seminar companies in Canada. I thought he was referring to the speaker. Oh, yeah, we host very successful events. I said, no, Mr. Alan Jacks, I love your marketing. I collect all your letters and all that, put in the three-ring binders. I love studying them. I love the way you tell stories and the way you do things. I'm just like, wow, I'm a big fan. And he was a little bit puzzled, because I don't think he's ever heard of anything like that from a young guy, young guy just so excited and so passionate. And I said, can I buy you lunch? I asked him. And he looked at me, kind of paused, and I'd never forget what he said. He said, you know what? I gotta eat. What the hell? And we went to lunch, and that's how we met. And after that, I asked him to mentor me. He said no. And I asked him again. He said no. And I was to a point where I was kind of stalking him a bit. And I'm not an advocate of this, okay? But I was showing up in his office, right? I was trying to help him, anything. I said, you want me to be a driver? I mean, anything I could do. And then finally, he said, no, because he's never had a quote-unquote mentee. In fact, to this very date, I'm the only mentee he's ever had. I'm the only mentee he's ever trained. And as I was asking him, was pleading, was begging, please, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll work in the office, I'll volunteer, I'll wash the fucking bathroom if necessary. Whatever it takes, I just want to learn. Can you give me a chance? And finally, he said, you know what, Dan, I've never seen a kid that's as driven, as persistent as you. I've never had a mentee. I don't know what that looks like. But however, I do know if I'm going to spend time with you, I'm going to have some criteria. I'm going to have some conditions. I said, whatever you want, I'll do it. Just tell me what you need from me. I will do it. He said, there are 3 rules I want you to remember. I said, whatever. No problem. Just tell me whatever you need, Alan. He said, rule number 1, no excuse. I said, if I'm going to work with you, I'm going to mentor you, I don't want any excuses from you. He said, you can either make money or make excuses. I don't tolerate excuses. If I ask you to show up at the office, I ask you to do something, I ask you to do whatever, I don't want to hear any excuses, period. Well, yeah, but Alan, what if? And the minute I used the word but, he looked at me and said, are you giving me an excuse right now, before we even start? And I said, no. He said, can you agree on that? No excuse. I said, yes. I won't make an excuse. I'll do whatever it takes. No problem. I said, okay. I said, all right. And that's the very first rule of HTC. No excuse. And no bad apple. Just like what Kevin was talking about, a couple people, the clown. Because a bad apple ruins the program for everyone else. How many of you agree with that? One bad apple ruins the program for everyone else. And that's why every time I start the program, you see every week I fire a couple of students. That's what we do. We just fire students. I can see if they're bad apple, they're gone. Again, I don't tolerate. I've made my FU money. I don't need to tolerate. They're bad apple, they're bad influence, they spoil the bunch, they ruin the whole experience for all the other students. They're gone. They'll be gone so quick. So no excuse and no bad apple. That's the very first rule that Alan shared with me, and that's the rule that I'm sharing with you. Can you follow that? Put in the chat box. So no excuse. I don't want to hear about it. Oh, Dan, the time zone is late and this. Show up. Oh, yeah, I don't have time to do the assignments. Do the assignments. Oh, yeah, my kids, my this and that. Do the assignment. No excuse. And no bad apple. And the second thing that Alan said to me is that besides no excuse is, I said, Dan, rule number 2 is I am not interested to hear your opinion. I'm not interested to hear your ideas. I said, well, but what if I have a good idea? What if I can have something that's useful? He said, well, you want to learn from me? And because you want to be more successful, correct? I said, yes. So you want to have my income, correct? I said, yeah, of course. It'd be great. Yeah. He said, I don't want your income. He said, if I take your opinions, I'll have your income, which would suck. You want my income, you listen to me. Unless and until you are as successful as I am, or you generate more income than I do, then express your opinions. Until you do, I'm not interested to hear your opinions at all. So he said, Dan, can you agree on that? No opinions. I said, absolutely. Absolutely. No opinion. So that's my rule number 2 for you. I don't want to hear this shit. I'm not interested. Same rule applied to HTC. No opinion. Put in the chat box. What's the rule number 2? No opinion. I don't want to hear it. Rule number 3, and this is probably the most important. Alan said to me, no victims. No victims. No blame, no justify, no complain. I'm going to ask you to work late. I'm going to ask you to move boxes. I'm going to ask you to make cold call. I'm going to ask you to take out the trash. I don't want any victim. I don't want blame. I don't want to justify. I don't want to hear a word of complaint. I won't work with you. One word of excuse, I won't work with you. You give me your opinion, I won't work with you. Those are the 3 rules. Can you do that? If not, just tell me right now. We don't have to waste each other's time. Because I've never taken a mentee. I really don't want to. If I'm going to spend time with you, if you can't even do these 3 things, I don't want to waste my time. And I looked at him and I said to him, you got it. I'll burn this into my fucking head. I'll burn into my mind. No excuse, no opinion, and no victims. I don't blame, I don't justify, I don't complain. Whatever the fuck it takes. And that's my rule number 3 for you. No victims, no blame, no justify, no complain. And you will forget. I know some of you will. Week 3, week 4, week 5, you get a little bit comfortable, and you start complaining shit and this and all that. I don't want to see that shit from you. You got to raise the standard. Sound is not working, that's too bad. Your connection is not good, that's too bad. You get your replay late, that's too bad. Don't give me, I don't want to hear that shit. I just don't. Just don't. You with me? So what are the 3 rules? No excuse, no bad apple, right? No opinion, and no victims. And what I want you to do is police each other. You see your fellow HTC family members, they're making excuse, they're breaking the rule, right? They're blaming, they're justifying, they're complaining. Help them, support them, point it out, police it, and say, hey man, don't make excuse. Remember what Dan said? Don't complain, man. Don't complain. Do the fucking work. And we don't want energy drainer and no bad apple. We just don't. So we'll find those people, they'll be out of the group. And when I say they're out of the group, I don't mean like out of a program. The way I do business, the way I train students are very, very simple. You can ask Desmond, you can ask Kayvon. When I kick someone out of my group or my program, whatever that I do, they are out for life.
Gone.
I haven't had one person that I've kicked out that who comes back. You can ask them.
You just become a thing of the past, and you know what the worst part is when you get kicked out. Because I've been on the side with being kicked out of groups. Is you sit there and you wonder, I wonder if they're thinking about me. I wonder if they regret. They don't give a shit. We've moved on. We're on a ship, and the ship is moving, and you're either on it with us or you're getting tossed off, and we're not turning around back for you.
Yeah, it's when I kick them out of my program, they're out of my life. They won't be able to join any other program I do. They won't be able to learn from, period. Because life is too fucking short. One chance. Every single person gets one chance. I would much rather invest my time training and mentoring people who are the right people. I'm not here for everybody, I'm just here for somebody. Why waste my effort on bad apple, on people like that? I don't have time for that. I'd rather spend time with you. Make sense? Desmond, right? People who are out, they're out.
They're absolutely out, yeah. In the tenor that I've been with you, I've watched at least a good 20 people who are in your closest circle. And all I can say is that these people, many of them sometimes will try to reconnect with me, but I've never seen them actually have the balls to reconnect with you. And even if they did, I just, it's not, you're not being evil or bad or anything. It's just, I think they realize that they were in the wrong and that they burned a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and that's why they never ever go back to you.
That's exactly it. So I don't do second chances. I don't want to hear about, but I didn't mean that. I didn't mean, just like the person who posed himself as all these names. There's no second chance. There's no apology. I don't want apology. I want results. There's no second chance. That person just blew it. Very simple. You're out of my life. Very simple. Now we're almost 3 hours in. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I still have a few lessons I want to share before I go into the assignment. Let me drink some water here. How are you feeling so far, by the way? How are you feeling so far?
I know people from around the world where it's 4 a.m. in the morning and they're still on, they're still going, which is very similar to the other batches. I'm just really impressed, and I'm very proud of those people. They haven't made any excuses. And there are people who are in North America who are bitching and complaining. But the ones who pay the price the most are the ones who are actually here and present.
It's very normal. Skin in the game. Skin in the game. Right? Sometimes the stuff that you have to fight for, you cherish that much more. So why don't we do a 2-minute kind of a stretch break? I'll get some water. If you have to get some water, you go to the bathroom, whatever you got to do, right? Stretch, move around a bit if you've been sitting down taking notes, okay? 2-minute quick break, and we'll resume in 2 minutes.
Kayvon.
You know I'm always here. I don't go anywhere. You know what I usually say at this point.
I love you, Kayvon, for that. You know, we know actually, like, this is not a joke, guys. Sifu's actually gone to get water. That's how relaxed he is. And okay, go ahead, Kayvon. Yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, I said, someone goes, Kayvon doesn't pee. No, I said, how's it go again? I goes, he goes, water's for the weak, water's for the hungry, water's for cleaning the blood off my jersey, and you don't get blood on my jersey. We will do up downs till Desmond is no longer thirsty anymore.
Now, first prize to anyone who can name a movie that came from.
Anything?
Chat here. Yeah.
It can't be a grad.
Ayman gets
it. Can't be a grad. No, it can't be a grad.
I think Ayman's not a grad. Ayman's Aiman. I hope I pronounced that name correctly.
Yeah. All right. We'll get something to him.
And William gets second. William Odhams. Oh, but he's a grad. He's a grad. So we got a bunch of grads coming in here.
It was so. One thing I'm a big sucker is for movies. And like the movie scenes, whether the love movies or the sports movies or the speeches in the football movies, and that one was Coach Boone when they're out on the field and they're in training camp, and Blue is saying, "Hey, Coach, we need some water," and then that was Denzel Washington. It was a great scene.
Absolutely great moment, epic moment.
So Desmond, what, like, you know, just bringing back to light, what were you thinking when you saw all that stuff going on in the chat?
You know, at first, I mean, you know, we always give people the benefit of the doubt. I mean, like, Dan knows Sam Ovens. They're good friends. They know each other. So I was like, okay, well, maybe Sam Ovens is actually in the chat, right? You know, nothing wrong with that. You know, Dan doesn't, you know, he shares his stuff. But then after that, we started seeing these other ones, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. And of course, we've got our covert team in the back looking through all the dashboard, and we're like, okay, wait a minute, there's a couple of jokers here, right? And then that's when, you know, you and I were chiming in on behind the stage. We've got a behind the stage chat, and it's like, okay, wait a minute here. I mean, this is just blowing our mind how disrespectful that is. And this has never happened, you know. So I don't know, you know. I mean, maybe the batch 1 students wanted this more than these batch 3 guys. I don't know.
I couldn't believe it. I saw it once and I saw it twice. And anyways, I don't want to bring too much light to it. I was just thinking, like, what is going on here, right? Like, to me, it was more about the disrespect, not just towards Dan, but to everyone else who wants to be here. Because the chat is there to ask questions, right? It's there to motivate. It's there to inspire. It's not there to, you know, play around. So, anyways, I think they learned their lesson there. I mean, I've never actually ever acted. I don't even remember ever reacting like that. But I was passion, you know, especially week 1, right?
The funny thing is, every batch, you know, just like when we were in the military and we went through our, you know, BMT, the basic military training, there was always one joker. I was one of them, right? Until I fucking had to spend a whole night out in the rain and the mud with no sleep and doing pillow drills. Then I started to learn my lesson, right? I was that guy that always wanted to seek attention. So, you know, wherever it was, whether it was one person or a couple of individuals, you know, maybe they just didn't realize that kind of personality is just not appropriate when we're all here to take this very seriously. So, you know, you get out of jail free, I guess, if, you know, you snuck away, you slinked away. But, you know, there was a gentleman I want to shed light on in batch 1. He actually was in the chat, and I laid the hammer down on him. Well, that gentleman, recently, I shared his post on my Facebook group, because not only did he come around, he smartened up, because he did some things, you know, he was posting links and different things that he knew, you know, that we had to then say, whoa, hold on, that's not the appropriate place, and that's not what you want to do. You don't want to be spamming your stuff here. and he apologized. He actually had the balls, and for the ladies out there, he had the guts, he had the character to apologize. He wrote me an email later on. We had a chat about it. We talked about what was appropriate, what's not appropriate, and fair enough. Okay, no harm done. And not only did he move on, he's actually become very successful as a closer in his country, and he's an influencer now. And I'm very proud to support him and endorse him because of that change in personality. So whoever it was, there is still hope for you.
Yeah, oh, there you go. I love people are saying, Kayvon, that was intense. Kayvon went off. No, don't confuse the intensity with my passion. That's what I'm going to say. Is Dan back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, there he is. Okay, I figured. All right, let's get going, Dan.
So can you see why those 3 rules are important to what we do in the next 7 weeks? Can you see in order to have let me share something with you. It's an important concept, and that's content versus context. Content versus context. So think of a cup. The content is the water. It's what I'm going to teach you, the lessons, the information, the strategies, how to close, the script, the tactics, all of that. The context is the cup. So what determines how much content goes in, how much water can fill up the cup, depends on what? The context. So if I want to expand, I want to be able to receive more content, I need to expand also what? My context. And in order to have and facilitate the group and have a very strong culture that we have, I have to have a very tight context. And that's why we have to have these rules. And that's why we follow these rules. Without rules, we don't have a group. And people think they join the program or just some programs, an online program, and I listen to some classes. That's not what I do. That's not, you see. How many realize it's not what I do? It's not how I roll. And that's why I have to have a very tight context. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's why a lot of stuff we don't tolerate. And that's why I fire students. That's why. Because I have to think for the well-being of the majority of our entire. I got to protect you guys. So to me, if there's a bad apple, is this and that, it means they fuck with the group, they fuck with me. And believe me, you don't want to fuck with me. Just don't.
I think I was intense. The scariest part of Dan is he's silent. That's scarier.
Yeah, just don't. I don't need to make noise and scream and yell. I just destroy you. It doesn't take me a lot to destroy you, quite frankly. But for people I love, people I protect, just don't fuck with my family. Just don't fuck with XTC's family. Just don't. Recently had a whole incident, right?
Oh yeah.
With an influencer. Yeah, you should know. With fucking HTC. Spartan! Right? 300! The grad knows what I'm talking about, right? HTC! Yeah. Okay, so why most people fail to create high income? Goes back to the interest versus committed. One person with a belief is equal to a force of 99 who have only interest. I want you to think back to the things that you have done in your life. The activities, or the skills, or maybe it's a sport. It's whatever it is. Think about the ones you've actually gotten good. They've accomplished something. Were you just interested or were you committed? Were you interested or were you committed? So think about it. And the things that you were kind of just interested, kind of like, kind of interested. What were the results? Bad. No impact. Lacking. So-so. Mediocre. Disaster. No result. So think about it. So in order to get results from this program, I want to point out 4 things that most people do that I don't want you to do, right? Someone's asking how much longer this would be. I think we'll wrap it up around maybe 30, 40 minutes or so, just to give you an idea. So, number 1. High ticket sales killer number 1, and that is lack of commitment. It's lack of commitment. Lack of commitment. So think about committed, not committed. I like this picture, a guy jumping off a plane without parachute. That's commitment right there. Yeah, and Normers, just let us know your name. We'll take you out of the program. We'll just take you, here's the money, take you out of the program. You don't need to be here. Just tell us your name. That's another person we could kick out of the program.
It's funny, we're talking about commitment, right? And they're asking, oh, when's this over? It's weird. It's weird.
It's over any time, just hang up.
Yeah, exactly.
Just hang up. You don't need to be here. You don't want to learn, I don't want to teach you. It's that simple, right? Like I said, I don't need your fucking money. Here's your money. Whatever you pay, $2,500 is your fucking money. Take it. Enormous, right? Real commitment is a commitment with a formal structure. Real commitment is a commitment with a formal structure. What is a formal structure? HTC is a formal structure. Every single week we're gonna be here. We're gonna teach. We're gonna role play. We're gonna learn together. That's a commitment with a formal structure. Not just, oh yeah, I'll here's some classes. I'll watch it whenever I feel like it, which you never feel like it. Or I'm gonna do that. No, every single week I'm gonna give you assignment. Every single week I'm gonna give you something to do. Every single week I expect you to do those assignments, and that's a commitment. That's the difference, and that's what gets results. Because it doesn't matter, you feel like it, you don't like it, you're going to do the fucking homework. You're going to do it. And when you do that, you're going to get results. Number 2, lack of focus. Lack of focus. How many of you are guilty of this? The shiny object syndrome. You know what I'm talking about. You try this, and you try that, and you try this, and you try that, right? Do you know why people have the shiny object syndrome? Why do people have the shiny object syndrome? It's desperation, TV, easy way out, lack of confidence, lazy, psychology, yes, lack of focus, yeah, no commitment. Magic pill, I'll tell you why. And this is the truth. People have shiny object syndrome, meaning they're thinking of, okay, I have this vehicle, I have this way of a path to success. So I have this vehicle that I'm gonna do this, but just in case that looks also pretty good, like kind of the grass is greener on the other side. Let me do that as well, and let me just maybe I could make money faster doing that. And then the third, and then but you know my friend is also making some money doing this. Maybe I could also do that, just kind of get my hands in there. Maybe that would work too, right? And just in case, like if A, B, and C doesn't work, let me have a D, a vehicle D, just in case that if these 3 things fail, then I have a backup. How many of you are guilty of this? Truth. The truth is, you don't believe. you have what it takes. You don't believe it's going to work. And when you don't believe it's going to work, guess what? It fucking doesn't work. That's the truth. That's the problem. That's the issue. And that's why you jump from one thing to another, and that's why you lack focus. The truth is, you don't lack focus. That's not the issue. That is not the issue. The issue is you're afraid to commit. You're afraid to go all in. That's why you don't want to focus. That's why. The secret to wealth is committing to one idea over time. The secret to wealth is committing to one idea over time. One. You don't need 10, you don't need 20, you don't need 30. One. All you need is one idea. And that's it. One idea over time. You got to give it some time. What lasts won't be easy, and what is easy won't last. Repeat after me. What lasts won't be easy, and what is easy won't last. And sometimes you see these entrepreneurs, they make money they make a lot of money in a short period of time, but it doesn't last. Or they made it by luck, and they made it because of timing, they made it whatever. I know for a fact I didn't make my money by accident. I made my money by design. Not by default, by fucking designed. Not easy. Not easy at all. Not easy at all. But it lasts. So I want you to answer this question, and it will be part of the assignment. For now, I just want to give you the question. What's going to make high-ticket closer certification program different from any other programs you got involved with in the past? And how are you going to make sure this program will work better for you, better than anything else you've ever done in your life? How are you going to make sure? Just think about that. So think about that. High-ticket sales killer number 3, lack of implementation. Lack of implementation. So it's a good idea, it's great, you're committed, it sounds good, but you just don't fucking take enough action. And I always believe this, and here's a very powerful question. How can you alter your environment to work to your advantage? So think about the environment that you're in. Maybe you're listening to this from home. The environment that you're in. How can you alter your environment to work to your advantage? Because your environment is always more powerful than your willpower. Your environment is always more powerful than your willpower. There's a weight loss coach, one time I was talking with him, and I was asking him how he was helping people. How do you help people from eating a lot of junk food? He said it's very simple. Just don't buy junk food and don't put them in your refrigerator. And I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful. Yeah, because your environment is more powerful than your willpower. You buy ice cream, you buy chocolate, you buy all those fatty food and junk food in your refrigerator. Guess what? At night, when you're hungry, you're going to eat that shit. You keep the refrigerator empty with fruit or with vegetables. Well, you know what? That's much more powerful than your willpower. So how can you alter your environment so you could facilitate and work to your advantage? Very, very powerful. And number 4, which is lack of guidance and support. So it goes back to an environment. What we've created, HTC, is a very powerful environment for you through the Facebook group. And also the support, guidance support through my team, through me, through Kayvon, through Desmond, and also through the entire community. There's just guidance and support. So when you have questions, we have answers. We are here to answer your questions. We are here to support you. We're here to help you. So let me go through the assignment. So every single week, as I said, I'm going to give you a weekly assignment to do, and you're going to do those assignments, and you are going to submit those assignments, and we are going to review it. And if you feel like it, you can also post on Facebook group if you want to share with the group. If you're not, you can also just send it to us. We're happy to just take a look at that. So step number one, here's what I want you to do. I want you to create your vision board. Now, if you've done a vision board in the past, or if you haven't, let me explain. All you need is simply a poster, a large sheet of paper, or even your refrigerator. It doesn't really matter. What I want you to do, I want you to get images or magazine printed from like Pinterest or whatever, some glue, push pins, stapler, fridge magnet, however you want to use it. And I want you to create and capture these images who are your dreams. Not where you are now. I'm talking about where you want to be, your ideal lifestyle, the car that you want, the vacation that you want, the house that you want, the places that you want to go, the people you want to help, the people that inspire you. And I want you to be very specific with your goals. What is the first thing you would like to pay for with your high-ticket closing income? Remember, I asked you a little bit earlier, if you were to 2, 3, 5, 10 times your income, what's the first thing that you would like to pay for with your high-ticket closing income? Whatever that your income goal is, what's the first thing? Example, could be a family vacation, a new house, a new car, or pay off the debt, or investment, or eat out more often, whatever that it might be. I want you to have that one thing first. What's the first thing you would like to pay for with a higher ticket closing income? And then where do you want to go? Who do you want to help? Who do you want to meet? What do you want to buy? Where do you want to live? And I want you to create and capture these images and print out these images or cut them from magazine, as many as possible. I want you to don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. Put all these things that you want to do, all these things that you want to have. And boom. Now, tell me, why is that important? Why is that important? Mindset, focus, to look at them. Julie said yes. A constant reminder, very close. Keeps you motivated. Create a new reality, yes. Here's why it's important. Because when shit gets tough, when you feel the pain, when you're growing, when you're overwhelmed, when you're stressed out, when you're confused, you look at that fucking vision board and you know, and you say to yourself, this is what I'm working towards. This is what I want. Whatever it takes doesn't stop me. I'm gonna create this vision. I'm gonna live this vision. It motivates you when things get tough. But if you don't put it in front of you, it feels so far away. It feels like someday I would do that. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Someday I would go on that vacation. Someday I would buy that car. It feels so far away. Versus you look at it every fucking day. Every day you look at it. When you're doing closing on the phone, you look at it. When you're role playing, you look at it. When you're approaching influencers, you look at this. Remind yourself why you are doing what you do. Why you want to develop that high-ticket closing skill in the first place. Why? Now look at the vision board. That's your fucking why. Step number 2, I want you to write a letter to yourself. I want you to write a letter to yourself. It's much more powerful if you do it with a pen and a piece of paper instead of just typing it. I want you to be very clear on the why. This is the written form. It's important to know your why you're doing it, because during the challenging times, this is your reminder. And also, it's good to know exactly why you want something and what your goal is. So the question what you would write is, what would you like your monthly high-ticket closing income to be in the next 12 months? I want you to be very precise. I don't want you to just say, oh, I want to make some more money. No. What would you like your monthly high-ticket closing income to be in the next 12 months? And how are you going to make sure that this program will work for you better than anything else you've ever done? How are you going to make sure that this program will work for you better than anything else you've ever done? Why this is a must for you. Why this is a must for you. James is asking, would negative reasons be okay? I would put that down first, James, and then we can re-examine why they're negative. But for now, I would just follow the assignment and write down negative. It's okay for now. For now. Because some reasons is better than no reasons. Because in order to close for other people, in order to close others, in order to make that sale, the most important sale that you must make is you. You can't close you, you can't close other people. You need to use the letter to close yourself. Why this is a must. Why you must succeed. You can't close yourself. You can't even convince yourself to do something. You can't make that sale. How are you going to convince others? How are you going to ask someone for $5, $10, $15, $20,000? How? You can't even close you. That's why writing the letter is important. This is your reminder. Doesn't matter how long the letter, it could be as short or as long as you want. But from my experience, the longer the letter, the better. The more powerful this exercise is. Step number 3. I want you to expose the lies. Expose the lies. So in order to turn our vision into reality, we must get rid of all these mind chatter, the mental BS that are holding us back, right? So here's a very powerful exercise. I want you to grab a pad of paper, it could be a notebook, it could be a journal, and a pencil, not a pen, and I want you to write down all the lies that you tell yourself. The more you put down, the better. Now here's a warning here, okay? The warning is, you feel like crap as you do this, okay? As you write down all the lies, you will feel like crap when you do this. And what are some of the lies? Give you some example. Lie number 1, Matt, I'm stuck at making $12K per month. Good, right? So what's some of the other lies? I'm not good enough. Yes. I'm too short to be the leader. I need my job to survive, Jake. Yes. Money doesn't grow on trees. Yes. I'm not good with numbers. So those are some of the lies, right? Money is the root of all evil. Yes. I need to feel good. I should be at another stage in my life. So I want you to write down all these lies. And I want you to write down in a pencil. Again, not a pen, but a pencil. Then what I want you to do is you write down the lie in pencil. Pay attention to this. Very important. You write down the lies with a pencil. And then I want you to skip 4 lines. And then I want you to write down another lie. And you will skip 4 lines. You will write down another line. And then skip 4 lines, another lie. And again, the more the better. I've seen HTC members, they have wrote like 10, 15 pages.
I think someone had 80 pages last batch, Dan.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Okay? Then, once you write down all the lies, you think about yourself, financial lies, spiritual lies. It could be, you know what, if I'm spiritual, I cannot be wealthy. Health lies, relationship lies. Oh, if I worked very hard, I won't be able to spend time with my wife, my husband, my kids. Write down every single lie and your perception with the truth. Then what I want you to do, I want you to take a red pen, very particular, use a red pen, and I want you to go, so you have all the lies, you have the 4 lines, right? I want you to write down now the truth. Phrase positively in the 4 blank lies below each line, right? The 4 lines, I'll write down the truth. So, here's an example. Let's say one of the lies is, money is the root of all evil. Let's say you write down that line. In the red pen, what could it be? What could be the truth? Doesn't have to be a truth that you believe in now, but it could be a temporary truth. Money is positive energy. Yeah, money is the root of helping others. It's not evil. If money is using it wrongly, yes. So you would put all of that in there in red pen, what the truth could be or is. So lies, truth, lies, truth, lies, truth. So it looks something like this, right? It could be, I'm shy, but because I don't know how to talk to people. Truth, I just haven't learned how to communicate with confidence and conviction. I know with practice, I could talk to anyone, anytime with confidence. Okay? Then what I want you to do is this. Here's another one. Money is the root of all evil. Lack of money, the truth is the root of all evil. With more money, I can do more good for myself, my family, and the world. Then next week, every day, what I want you to do, so you do that, you write down all the lies, you write down the truth. And therefore next week, we have 7 days. Every day I want you to read the lie and the truth. I want you to read the lie and the truth. I want you to read the lie and the truth. And what's going to happen is you're reprogramming your mind of, okay, I guess, there's another possibility. There's another perspective. Right? This is the red pill. I can see things from a different perspective. Then on 7th day, before class 2, what I want you to do is I want you to erase and cross out all the lies. That's why it's good to write in pencil. You would cross that out. You erase it. So only the red truth will remain. You got this?
Sifu, someone actually asked, do they need to submit this, or are we checking? To be really honest, I know there's certain personality types out there that need to get this kind of clarification. To be very precise for you, no, you do not need to submit this. This is a first test to see whether you can be accountable to yourself. If you want to get the most out of this, this is the implementation we're talking about.
That's correct. And if you want to submit it, you're okay. You feel free to do that too. When you start replacing your lies and your perceptions with the truth, all of a sudden it will become more natural, and you begin to see your worth and charge what you're worth. And this is extremely important when it goes to week 3 and week 4, when it comes to closing. Because this stuff, as you're close on the phone, you get nervous, you're trying to remember the script, all this stuff would come up. And if you have a lot of lies in your head, you will not be very effective as a closer. You follow what I'm saying? Step number 4. I want you to immerse yourself into my teaching. If you have not done so, make sure you watch the 6 Steps to Six Figures program. And also I want you to binge watch all my videos. It's about immersion. So I want you to commit to watching minimum 10 videos a day. Maybe you're already doing that. If you're not, minimum how many videos? That's right, 10. Especially the ones on sales, on high ticket sales, and millionaire mindset. Very, very important. If you want to do more than 10, of course. And you can always comment also on below the video, so I read every single comment. So I can also see that you're doing your homework and you are watching the videos. And number 5 is you want to reprogram your mind for wealth. So in the next 7 weeks, every single day, I want you to start with the morning with the Attitude of Gratitude video. It's on YouTube. You can just search for Attitude of Gratitude on that video. And it's probably one of the most profound videos I've ever done. And this video probably has helped more of our members than any other single video that we have. How many of you are doing, especially the grads, are doing the Attitude of Gratitude? And how has that helped you? Start the day with Attitude of Gratitude. In mid of the day, I want you to listen to the Millionaire Mindset Daily Power Affirmations. You can do middle of the day. Again, you can search on YouTube. It is there. You can also go to YouTube and go directly to the playlist called Millionaire Mind Programming. So the day in the morning, Attitude of Gratitude. Mid of the day, Millionaire Mindset. Before you go to bed, you can play to program your subconscious mind for success and wealth. So that's more before you go to bed, it helps you to relax. Also, you will probably the first few times you do it, you will fall asleep kind of listening to that, and it's a good thing because you see a lot of the suggestions. It helps to reprogram your mind. So that's why I said it's not just teaching you techniques. I'm trying to build a very strong foundation for you so we can build on that. These habits, these assignments, these exercises are designed to shift your limiting belief, are designed to help you to evolve, to transform yourself and start becoming the high-ticket closer. It is extremely critical that you do it. So how many of you are committed doing your homework? Yes? I am. Good. Very, very good. Very, very good. And if you feel like, oh, I don't know if I have time, I don't know if I'll get to do all the homework, and when you hear all these things, what's rule number one? What's rule number one? No excuse. Well, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right, and what about this, what about that? We refer back to the 3 rules. It's very simple. And make sure, if you want, please submit a photo of your vision board, your letter, and all that will be kept confidential unless you want to share on Facebook. But for us, it will be confidential. All complete assignments, the assignments with an S at highticketsales.com, assignments at highticketsales.com. Any admin or technical questions, send it to support at highticketsales.com. So any admin, technical support, billing, it's all that. Next class, write this down, April 12th is next Thursday. Next Thursday, 6 p.m., same time, same place. And make sure, definitely, as Desmond said, whitelist our email. Make sure you're getting all the emails, so the class info, the login information. Check the spam filter. Sometimes that happens too. Make sure you're getting the email, because my team is sending out the email, but sometimes it's Google. It's blocking the email. That's the issue. So make sure you whitelist. Make sure you put it in the inbox, and post any questions or progress on our Facebook group. I read every single post. So if you want to, you can also share with me the week 1, the class. What's your aha moment? What have you learned, right? What is it you want to do? Share with me. What have you learned? That would be pretty powerful as well. Okay? So that's it. That's week number 1. So go do the assignments, and I will see you next week. And remember, you are closer than you think.